quarterback Tony Robinson led a mid-season resurgence, passing the Big Orange to victories over Alabama, Georgia Tech, and Ole Miss, and locking up a Sun Bowl berth. Meanwhile, the Vanderbilt Commodores began with a bang in '84, beating Alabama and Maryland en route to a 4-0 start and a top 20 ranking. Then George McIntyre's team went south, losing 5 of their next 6 games and ending the Commodores' bowl hopes. But Vandy can salvage a winning season today as they take on the Volunteers in a battle for the bragging rights to the state of Tennessee. From the campus of Vanderbilt University, Dudley Field in Nashville, Tennessee, the Volunteers of the University of Tennessee headed to the Sun Bowl, and the Vanderbilt University Commodores 5-5 and looking for a winning season. We have a beautiful day for football in Middle Tennessee. Temperatures should get up to about 50 degrees. The skies are a lovely shade of blue. The stadium is sold out and has been since last year, as this is the battle for the bragging rights in the state of Tennessee. And Tim, once again, it's expected that we will see here today between these two teams a real display of offensive fireworks, particularly.
Well, there's a lot of emotion involved in this game, obviously. Vanderbilt, during George McIntyre's tenure here, has been known for its prolific offense, great quarterbacks, great receivers, but Tennessee has developed some pretty explosive offensive weapons of their own.
One was finding a quarterback to replace Alan Cockrell. He was a question mark before the season started, but now he's second in the conference in total offense and also passing efficiency. And they say, as goes Tony Robinson, so goes the University of Tennessee Volunteers. Tony Robinson is the classic quarterback, tall, lanky, but he adds a lot more than that.
Really, he's got the strong arm, but what makes him more than a great athlete is the fact that he's developed some real discipline as a quarterback. He'll call 60% of the plays from the line of scrimmage.
Johnny Jones has been a serious Heisman contender all year. Injuries have slowed him down. When he's healthy, he can gain 200 yards a game, and he's healthy today. That's
correct, and every coach you talk to about this young man says the same thing. A little move and then upfield in a hurry, and he'll team with number 35, William Howard. That's a great set there.
Here's another team that's a great set. Wade and Jordan, the defensive tackles for Vanderbilt.
The key to Vanderbilt's success on defense will be the play of Steve Wade and Carl Jordan, Steve McCoy in the middle. If they can contain the Tennessee running game in the middle, they'll be in good shape.
Coach George McIntyre of Vanderbilt says this is the best football player he's ever coached, Manuel Young.
And a fine young man, too. The type of player that's all out all the time, and he's a great team leader. You see him here making an interception, but his contribution this afternoon will be his involvement in the running game. He needs to come up and support the sweep when it gets outside.
Whenever you talk about Vanderbilt, as Tim mentioned, you talk about offense, passing offense with Page and Ratcher and Scott and Kelly and Edwards. But today the running game could be maybe predicate their success.
I think you're going to see them run the ball a little bit more than usual. You'll probably see them in the I formation, something they have not shown to this point.
Now the question mark is whether Kurt Page is able to play. Kurt Page separated his shoulder third quarter of the Virginia Tech game. If he can't play, Ratcher will play. Tim, you've been talking to coaches moments ago as we watch both of these quarterbacks. What is the story?
I just talked to Lynn Amity, the offensive coordinator for Vanderbilt. He said Kurt Page will not start, and it's doubtful if he will play. That shoulder separation has not recovered. He really can't throw the deep O-cut or the long ball, and they're going to go with this young man, Mark Ratcher. Ratcher came in last week against Kentucky. They had high expectations for him. He played well against Georgia, had a little bit of a brownout, last week against Virginia Tech, and really hasn't reach the potential that they feel he can. If he plays well, if he can get the ball to Keith Edwards and some of those other receivers that Vanderbilt has, if he reads appropriately, then Vanderbilt will be the same dangerous offense that they always are.
University of Tennessee's defensive team's been hurt all year long. The linebackers are a key element in this game today, particularly with that quarterback in the A-back Edwards. This man, Carl Zander, leads the way.
Carl Zander's been there all year, and I'm sure he was looking around midway through the season and was wondering where his teammates were, but he has been an effective leader all year long.
Charles Davis is one of the many secondary players who've been hurt. He's back today, but some others are still question marks.
When we saw Tennessee against Auburn, they were -6 starters. Some of them are back. Charles Davis, the leader in the secondary, is back. But they will be starting 2 freshman cornerbacks, so Tennessee is going to have to play a little passively on defense. They're not going to be blitz-oriented. They won't be high pressure. They're going to have to be patient against this prolific Vanderbilt offense.
Whenever you talk about Tennessee Vanderbilt, you talk about a great kicking game. Ricky Anderson leads the nation in punting, also an excellent field goal kicker. For Tennessee, Jimmy Colquitt averaging nearly 43 yards a punt. And what can you say about Fuad Reveiz, one of the great ones? He kicked 18 straight field goals till he missed a 57-yarder last week. Kicking game will play an important role. They're playing the alma mater right now. The blood is flowing black and gold and orange, depending on which side of the field you're sitting on. We'll be back with the kickoff in just a moment. But right now, back to our studios for Craig Sager and Paul Horning after these messages. Auburn loses. George
1,000 capacity crowd at Dudley Field on the campus of Vanderbilt in Nashville. And the orange and white Tennessee Volunteers headed to the Sun Bowl with a record of 6-3-1. Enter the field, and Tennessee holds a commanding lead in this series, but it has been pretty close when it's been played here in Nashville. And here come the Commodores. They call this the Show Your Gold Bowl. Vanderbilt won't go bowling this year, but they could go home for the winner with a winning record and a victory over their arch rival opponents from the eastern part of the state, the University of Tennessee. Vanderbilt 5-5. They won their first 4, but then dropped 5 out of 6. The stadium filled mostly with gold, but there are a lot of orange-clad Tennessee fans here today. This is Turner Network Television. Today's official, Jimmy Harper. Let's go down to the field for the coin toss. The University of Tennessee captains out on the field, along with the captains from Vanderbilt. Here's the honorary coin tosser.
Throw it up high, Jimmy. He said heads, and heads it is. You win the toss. You have your choice to kick or defend. Defer. White team wins the toss. And they defer the second half. Which end you want to kick or defend or kick off. You like to receive, which end you want to kick from. Put your backs over there. Black team will be over here. Receiving it this end. Good luck to both of you.
There you see Tennessee won the toss, deferred their option to the second half, meaning they'll receive then, and Vanderbilt's going to receive to open this game. We are going to see some offensive stars in this game. Look at this, SEC total offense, top 5. The top 2 are Page, who's hurt but will probably play today, and Tony Robinson from Tennessee. In SEC receiving, 2 Vanderbilt receivers lead the conference. McGee is 3rd, and down 8th is the tight end from Vanderbilt. So we have a lot of excellent receivers for both teams in the top 10 in the Southeastern Conference. In rushing, Johnny Jones leads everybody. Then Hilliard, Adams, and Anderson are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And down at 8th is Carl Woods of Vanderbilt. Normally a Vanderbilt running back not in there, but Woods has had a good year. Been hampered the last couple of games with an ankle injury. So statistically, we have some offensive stars in this game, and it ought to be a good one. Number 4 is Fuad Reveiz. He is the Tennessee kicker, ending his career today. But Johnny Majors is crying no tears because Fuad's brother, Carlos, is a walk-on kicker, and he's pretty good, too, and he'll be replacing Fuad as Reveiz will no doubt go into the pros, have an opportunity to be a professional kicker. He kicked 18 straight field goals this year, missed his second kick of the year, kicked 18 straight, and then missed his final kick last week against Kentucky, a 57-yard attempt. But other than that, he is one of the great kickers, along with Anderson from Vanderbilt, Raymond from Florida, and Butler from Georgia. There are the deep backs for Vanderbilt. Everett Crawford, a freshman, averages 19.7. He wears number 1. And Kenny Weatherspoon averages 19.4 per kickoff return, has on number 33. It comes down to Weatherspoon to the 26-yard line. And let's have a look at the starting offensive lineup now for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Mark Ratcher, a sophomore, will start at quarterback. Talented, not Kurt Page. He has a sore shoulder. Page will probably play. Talented is Ratcher, but mistake-prone. Woods and Edwards. Edwards primarily a receiver. Pop Kelly and Scott also receivers for Vanderbilt. Monaco, their best offensive lineman. Drawley, who's an excellent center, has been out with an illness, but is well and is back today. Look for Vanderbilt to go to the left side of that offensive line. Opening offensive play from the line of scrimmage today. Here is Ratcher, and they're going to run with Carl Woods. Only gets about a yard as Tennessee made great penetration. Let's look at the defensive backfield now of Tennessee making a play on that. Tennessee's defensive lineup has been banged up all year long, but they have some of the players back today. They'll be particularly tough on the outside there with McKenzie and Jones, those linebackers. The inside linebackers are Zander and Kofer. The Kramer and Peppers, who you saw briefly on your screen there, are freshman quarterbacks for Tennessee. It is 2nd down 9 from the 27. Ratcher's going to hand it to Carl Woods again. Not much going this time. To the 29-yard line goes Woods. Also running to the right side of the Vanderbilt offensive line, which is unusual, Tim.
It's unusual for them because they've got a real powerhouse at left tackle, Bob. Rob Monaco, that's a real street fighter, been a consistent player for him, a 4-year starter, and their tendencies really show strongly to the left. They probably feel as defensively Tennessee is prepared to stop a run to the defensive right, so they're going against that tendency.
This will be 3rd down 6 from just inside the 30-yard line for the Commodores. That's Scott in motion. Ratcher has a lot of time. The pass is complete to Keith Edwards, and it should be enough and is enough for a 1st down. Keith Edwards, who came into this game leading the conference with 57 catches, just made his 58th.
Bob, Tennessee has a problem on defense early. Andre Kramer left the field 2 plays ago. He's a freshman cornerback. They were thin there already. They now have Charlie Davis, the free safety, playing cornerback. And Chris White has come into the game. He's playing free safety.
Vanderbilt 1st down 10 from the 37-yard line. Opening drive for the Commodores. Opening moments in this game. Carl Woods. That's across the 40 to the 41-yard line. About 4 yards. Tripped up by 97. Tony Simmons, who is the defensive right tackle for the University of Tennessee Volunteers. We're at Dudley Field in Nashville, 46 degrees. Clear blue skies with some very high cirrus clouds today, but it's a very beautiful afternoon for college football. Temperature should get right around 50 degrees.
Bob, when you're playing Vanderbilt, you certainly would like to play them with a healthy secondary. Tennessee already thin, already concerned about their secondary. Now they lose a valuable man, Andre Kramer.
Here's Ratcher pitching to Carl Woods. Vanderbilt continues to run. It's a 1st down, and here goes Woods. At the 28-yard line. They're going to say he stepped out way back upfield at the 45 and only gets about 13 yards. He goes out of bounds. Watch here on the left side. I think he steps out about the 45, Tim.
You see Rob Monaco and out in front Will Wolford just doing a fine job of blocking. And that's where they like to run. We're going to see it again. 69, Will Wolford. Number 53, Rob Monaco. Out in front, Jim Pop getting a good block on the linebacker, allowing him to turn the corner. He's heading up the sidelines right there with his right foot. He's out of bounds.
And they spot the ball exactly at the 45 of Tennessee. 1st down 10 Vanderbilt. Keeping the ball on the ground. Unlike the Commodores, here comes Carl Woods again. Driving up the middle for about a yard this time. Hit first by Simmons and then second by Zander. Zander with his 2nd tackle of the day. And there is the young man on the spot, Mark Ratcher. On the season, Ratcher has thrown for 356 yards, 5 interceptions, 4 touchdowns.
We saw him against Georgia, Bob. Very effective when he first entered the game, then Georgia started to pressure him. Last week, he came in at the top of the 2nd half when Page got hurt, threw a couple of quick interceptions, made reads that he shouldn't have made, and threw the ball in the wrong spot.
2nd down 8. Ratcher's going to throw on this 2nd down. Plenty of time again. Almost picked off. It was tipped at the line of scrimmage. Diving for the ball was Joe Kofer, playing linebacker, but a former defensive back. Intended for Keith Edwards. But I believe, Tim, it was tipped at the line of scrimmage. The ball wobbled it coming out of there.
It did look like it got knocked at the line of scrimmage. You know, confidence is a fragile thing. As you see Ratcher turn to throw, it was batted down by the right defensive end. It was hard to pick up his number. And he was a very confident individual. But you have a couple of bad situations, and you throw the ball in the wrong spot, you get some interceptions, and you start to wonder about your own ability a little bit, especially when you're young.
3rd down 8. Tennessee at the 43. Vanderbilt at the 43 of Tennessee. Ratcher. Again, good protection. Almost picked off again. He was looking for either Edwards or Kelly, but Ratcher ineffective on this series, and the Commodores, being at the 43-yard line of Tennessee, will have to punt the football away. Ricky Anderson is in for the punt.
One thing the defensive players from Georgia told us was Ratcher has a tendency, the ball is batted at the line of scrimmage, has a tendency to eyeball his receivers. He looks at the man that he has decided he's going to throw the ball to, allowing the defense to react before the ball is really in the air.
Ricky Anderson named earlier this week to the Walter Camp All-American team, meaning they think he's the finest punter in the nation. That ball almost down at the goal line, but it goes in for a touchback, and the ball will come out. First down 10 at the 20-yard line for the University of Tennessee. Let's have a look at the starting lineup for the Volunteers of Tennessee, and we'll do that when we return. This is Turner Network Television. George McIntyre concluding his 6th year at Vanderbilt. He's 22-44 in his 6 years here in Nashville. He's rumored to be possibly headed out of town. Tim?
Been talking to the people from Missouri. He had a meeting with Dave Hart, the athletic director at Missouri, but he said he wasn't going to talk any more about it until after this football game.
First down 10, Tennessee from the 20-yard line. Tony Robinson, the quarterback. Short drop. It's complete to about the 24 to 88. Tim McGee is split end out there. Tim Johnson with the tackle for the Commodores. Let's look at that Tennessee offensive lineup now. Robinson, as we say, second in the conference in both total offense and passing efficiency. Cooper, the blocking fullback. Jones, the Heisman candidate who ran so well all year long. McGee, Smith, and Swanson, excellent receivers. The tight ends really been coming on. The best linemen are Mayo and center Raleigh McKenzie. Watch for him. Johnny Major says he's one of the best he's coached. Second down 5. Here's Johnny Jones. Hit at the line of scrimmage, but still gets a couple. Carl Jordan, initial tackle, number 99. Penalty marker is down.
One of the things that you might see from Tennessee, Bob, is they're very concerned about number 90 on Vanderbilt, Steve Wade, and number 99, Carl Jordan. They feel as Raleigh McKenzie is one of their finest linemen, they may move him from center to guard so he can handle Wade.
The mark-off is going against the Commodores, and the call, I believe, the preliminary indication is personal foul against Vanderbilt. Move it all the way out to the 43-yard line. There's Jimmy Harper, the referee. There you go, the mild-mannered, soft-spoken Jimmy Harper. He speaks softly but carries a big whistle. First down for the Volunteers, out to the 43-yard line of Tennessee. Scoreless game, 10:43 remaining, first quarter. Dudley Field in Nashville. Tennessee in the I formation. Vanderbilt with a 4-3 defense. Play fake, and it's complete to McGee. Knocked down right at the 45-yard line. Gain of 2, not much more. They tried to get it to their split wide receiver way out wide. Watson, number 36, with the tackle for the Commodores.
They have made that adjustment in the offensive line, Bob. Johnny Hibbett is now playing center. Raleigh McKenzie playing right guard.
And there's the Vanderbilt defensive alignment. The secondary, they are led by number 32, Manuel Young. Second down 8 from the 45 for the Volunteers. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Tony Robinson, as you see, checking off. He does it a lot. Skips it out to the right side, and if he'd have thrown it up high where he probably wanted to originally, Sykes would have had nothing but goal lines and headlines ahead of him. There's Tim McGee. Looks like his ankle. He slipped right before that pass was thrown. I think we have that, Tim.
They've got him lined up on the outside as the split receiver. He's just running a hitch pattern. Catches his ankle and it twists underneath. They don't need to lose him as far as throwing the football. He's their most dangerous weapon. They've already lost several receivers to knee injuries and ankle injuries. A great job on that play by Kurt Van Valkenburg's defense for Vanderbilt. They gave Tony Robinson a 3-deep look. Then after he had changed the play to that quick hitch to the outside receiver, they switched and rotated to the strong side, so there was a lot of help on McGee short.
Tennessee has, as you look at Smokey, the blue tick hound mascot of Tennessee, Tennessee's lost 3 receivers at various times to injuries this year. Clink, Scales, Pryor, and now McGee, possibly McGee not serious. 3rd and 8 for the Volunteers from the 45. Backs in a split. Thrown out of bounds, incomplete. The Commodores hold. And Tennessee will have to give up the football. That pass intended for 27, Eric Swanson. And in comes one of the fine punters in the nation, Jimmy Colquitt. His average is down a little bit this year, but not his talent. He averages nearly 43 yards per punt, a senior from Knoxville. And Manuel Young, there's Colquitt, number 21. Manuel Young, number 32, will be the deep punt receiver for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Vanderbilt with 10 men on the line. They're coming after this punt. They don't get it, but it is a wobbly one. Young's going to let it bounce and get away from it. It's going to get a Tennessee roll, an outstanding Tennessee roll. Down to the 2-yard line. I might point something out here. The sun is directly in the eyes of the punt returner when he's standing on the end of the field in which Young was standing. That may have had something to do with him letting that ball roll loose. A 53-yard punt. Johnny Majors played in this game when he was an All-American at Tennessee. We asked him his most memorable memories of this Vandy UT game.
The most memorable game I ever played in was the 1955 game, and I was a junior. We played in Knoxville. And two reasons that make it most memorable is that, number one, when I was a sophomore, I'm from Middle Tennessee, about an hour and a half south of Nashville. And born and raised in a little town called Lynchburg and in Huntland. And we played here as a sophomore, and Vanderbilt humiliated us 26-0. And I begged to get in and run the second half kickoff back and play the second half most of the game. And they beat us 26-0. And the next year in Knoxville, we played maybe the best Vanderbilt team after World War II. And we were underdogs, and we had a very difficult time in Knoxville. And we fortunately won the ball game 20-14 on 3 touchdown passes. And that was one of the happiest days of my life after suffering the misery the year before in 1954.
Carl Woods gets it out to the 9-yard line, tackled by Joe Kofer. A critical offensive running play for Vanderbilt on that, a gain of 7. And there's Tony Robinson checking with his coaches on the sideline. Ineffective offensively in the first series for the University of Tennessee.
Here's where Vandy likes to go, to the left behind Wilford and Monaco. Tony Robinson checking with Walt Harris upstairs, talking about defenses.
Second down, 3 double tight ends in for Vanderbilt. Not quite to the first down. It could be close. That's Carl Woods with the ball. Tony Simmons with the tackle. It'll depend on where they spot it. Vanderbilt needs to go to the 12-yard line for the first down. They may have to bring the sticks in, and that's what they're going to do.
You know, Johnny Majors was talking about this rivalry last night in the lobby of the hotel, and he says that, you know, that these Vanderbilt players seem to change personalities when they play Tennessee. They're known as very educated. Every time you ask about a Vanderbilt player, the first comment is, well, he's very intelligent. And he said when they play Tennessee, they start foaming at the mouth. They must drink some pumpkin juice or something the night before because they get excited. They really get ready to get after these Volunteers.
Well, they got after it by about 14 inches there and got the first down by a little more than the length of the ball. Kelly goes into the game now. And coming out is the backup tight end, Bob Illes. So it'll be first down, Vanderbilt. They started on their own 2-yard line thanks to that punt by Colquitt. It's Edwards in motion. Play fake. Ratcher has a man open. It's Kelly. It's complete at the 36-yard line, and down he goes. Tackled by Andre Kramer. Excellent route run that time by Joe Kelly, number 6.
Good point, Bob. Joe Kelly is the best man-to-man receiver Vanderbilt has, and that's really saying something considering Chuck Scott is there. Chuck Scott's a little bit better against the zone, has great recognition of coverage, but Kelly is a very clever, quick receiver, works himself free on the freshman Andre Kramer, and that's great for Ratcher. Maybe that'll help him develop some momentum.
Number 2, Fuller. Number 21, Bullen in receiving positions now for Vanderbilt. Here's Carl Woods. He needs the block. Gets a little bit of one, about 4 yards for Carl Woods out at the 40-yard line. Woods is up around 40 yards rushing, 38 exactly already here in the first quarter with 7:45 to go. We do have a scoreless football game from the Vanderbilt campus.
Well, Carl Woods, when they call him Goo Baby, has been really hampered by an ankle injury all year long. He's been pretty much straight ahead. It has limited his lateral mobility, but he's healthy now, and he's got his cutability back.
He's had 8 carries already today. Highly unusual for the Commodores. This is carry number 9. Carl Woods to the 43. Going to be short of the first down to bring up one of those third down conversions again. Middle guard Robbie Scott with the tackle, number 65. He was helped by Carl Zander, number 45, as you look at him again.
And Larry Marmee, the defensive coordinator for Tennessee, talks of Carl Zander with love in his eyes. He's one of the veterans that has hung in there. He's stayed healthy, and he's done everything that the coaches have asked him to do, and has kind of kept together a disjointed defense, disjointed by inexperience.
Third 3 for the Commodores from their own 43-yard line. Pitch to Carl Woods. Tennessee plays it well. Commodores do not convert and will have to give up the ball. So in a game we expected to be highly explosive offensively, we come out here and see a running game from both teams and a scoreless game a little more than halfway through the first quarter.
I think Vanderbilt is trying to maintain possession of the football. Tennessee can be awfully dangerous and explosive on offense with Johnny Jones and Tony Robinson when he gets uncranked. A fine play on that last possession by Vic Peppers. The cornerback came up and turned that play in.
Number 1 is Andre Kramer back to take the Ricky Anderson punt. Ricky Anderson had a 43-yarder his first time. He's averaging 47 yards a punt on the year. This is a howitzer shot. They call his leg a howitzer. It's going to go into the end zone, though, and they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. I'm sure Anderson would give up some yardage on the 57-yard punt to bring it down there inside the 5, but Tennessee will start it from their 20. This is Turner Network Television.
That's Larry Marmee talking to Tony Simmons, defensive lineman. It looks like Larry anyway from the back. It's going to be interesting. One thing that an offense can do, one thing the offense can do to keep the defense from moving around and disguising is to go on a quick count. Let's see if Tennessee does that.
Hope you'll join us for the Hall of Fame telecast. Kentucky, Wisconsin, coming up on December 29th, right here on most of these TNT stations. First and 10 from the 20. Jones to the 24-yard line, and no more. Hit by Steve Wade, number 90, the defensive tackle for Vanderbilt. Scoreless game, 5:45 to go, first quarter. Tim, it has not started exactly the way we anticipated. Well, in some degree, the way we anticipated. I guess we'd say it hadn't started the way most people would expect these teams to play.
I would agree. You'd expect to see, as a fan, coming in cold, the ball in the air more. But we knew, in talking to Lynn Amity and George McIntyre, they're going to try to keep the ball on the ground a little bit more than usual.
It'll be second down 6 from the 24. There's Tony Robinson checking it off again. Pops it out here to the left side of number 27, Eric Swanson. Swanson driven out of bounds at about the 33 after Tennessee secures the first down. That's the second first down of the game for the Volunteers. Johnny Jones, second. Matter of fact, he leads the conference in rushing. He is 5th in the nation in rushing, averages 117 yards a game. William Howard in at fullback now for Tennessee, number 35. First down from the 33. That's William Howard. Steve McCoy with the tackle. Johnny Majors likes this youngster.
He's a freshman, and he has really developed rapidly. He was the offensive player of the week last week against Kentucky. And he kind of combines speed and power. Not a bad receiver.
It'll be second down 6 from the 37. Joy Clinkscales splits wide to one side. Eric Swanson the other. Tim McGee also in the game. The tight end out of there right now on this second down 6. Delayed play fake. And it is complete to the fullback, Howard, who falls down near the first down marker. Tim Johnson covering for Vanderbilt. An unusual play, a delayed play fake, 3 wideouts, and they throw the ball to their fullback.
Vanderbilt had gotten a lot of depth in this replay as Johnny Majors queries about the first down. Vanderbilt, the defense gets a lot of depth. Timmy Johnson, the strong safety, is running to get underneath the wide receiver. You see him now reacting up to the ball being thrown, and Howard slides just short of the first down.
Now Charles Wilson in there with Johnny Jones. Charles Wilson's a freshman too, and wears number 32. See that power eye formation for Tennessee on a 3rd and short. Offsides apparently on the part of Carl Jordan from Vanderbilt. Looks like he got just a little bit of jump, anticipating the count. Yards against the Commodores. Scoreless game, 3:50 to go, first quarter. Tennessee gets it out here to the 47. That's the furthest they've driven the ball in this game.
Offside.
Really have to give the coaching staff, as we look at the replay, give the coaching staff at Tennessee, Carl Jordan, number 99, getting off before the ball is in motion. Give the coaching staff at Tennessee a lot of credit. We saw this team against Auburn. They were demolished, and they reassembled this team, and they really have come on in the latter part of the season.
Johnny Jones is going to lose a yard. Hit initially by 36, Glenn Watson. Excellent penetration by the Vanderbilt front four. They are Wade, Jordan, Wyndham, and Watson. Watch for number 36.
Number 36, a junior from Dallas, Glenn Watson, has been struggling all year long with injuries. Fills it to the inside from his outside linebacker position, and he's got some help.
John Wyndham, number 89, also in on the play. So it will be second down 11 for the Volunteers from their 46-yard line. Wide open is Swanson, close to the first down, out to the 38-yard line. Kermit Sykes with the tackle. There you get a good look at Tony Robinson's arm when he has a good drop and time to plant his feet.
Just a fine athlete. Vanderbilt not moving around much on defense in this play. He gets the read he was looking for and drills it right in there to Eric Swanson.
Tennessee first down out to the 38. Check that. 43-yard line of Vanderbilt is the location of the ball on the first down. Here is Wilson, the freshman. He plays behind Johnny Jones. Charles Wilson from Pritchard, Alabama, number 32, getting about 7 or 8 yards inside the 35-yard line of Vanderbilt.
And it looked like Raleigh McKenzie, who had been playing left guard, pulled back and got a nice trap block to open that play up.
Temperature right near 50 degrees. You see those blue skies here in Middle Tennessee on the campus of Vanderbilt. Scoreless game, 2 minutes to go, quarter number 1. Second down 2, Volunteers from the 34 of Vanderbilt. This is the 4th or 5th time that Robinson has checked off at the line of scrimmage in this first quarter. Has a man wide open again. It's 85, Bill Eichholz. He gets down to the 21 of Vanderbilt. Sykes with the tackle again. Tennessee getting some rhythm in their offense now under Coach Johnny Majors.
Vanderbilt defense rotating to the wide side of the field. They're leaving Kermit Sykes alone back there on the weak side. Kermit Sykes, a good man-to-man coverage person. He needs to stick his nose up there a little bit farther. He needs to be more of a factor on those plays. He should be whacking them as the receiver catches the ball.
Robinson 6 out of 8 for 43 yards now. He's down at the 22 of Vanderbilt. Robinson, dangerous on the scramble. Down at the 15-yard line, just inside. Cartwright will get credit for the tackle. Robinson gets about 5 when he found everybody covered.
Looked like he was looking for Clinkscales deep in the corner. Sykes doing a nice job on coverage. Vanderbilt flushed him out. But he is dangerous when he gets out of the pocket. He took a busted play 45 yards against Memphis State a few weeks ago.
Second down 3, Volunteers from the 15 of Vanderbilt. And off to the fullback. Howard inside the 10 to the 7-yard line. That running game starting to get really uncranked now, particularly right up the middle behind Raleigh McKenzie, Upton, Mayo, those fellas.
See it again. You got McKenzie playing left guard there, and a nice block by Todd Upton. Does a short little trap and opens up a hole for Howard up the gut.
So it's first down goal, Tennessee, from the 8 of Vanderbilt now. Robinson. Nice play by number 4, Kermit Sykes, breaking up the pass intended for Tim McGee.
Can't beat that. A good play on the ball. As a defensive back, you want to protect the inside, then react to the pattern on the outside. The ball is now in the air. Sykes locates the receiver, stretches the ball out, hits the ball without really even locating it. Great play by Kermit Sykes. We'll see it again. Robinson giving McGee time to get open, being harassed a little bit by Glenn Watson.
Second down goal from the 8. Two receivers to the left side, one to the right side. Robinson under pressure this time. Down he goes at the 18-yard line. They call number 99, Chocolate Thunder. Carl Jordan with a very big play. He leads the Vanderbilt team in tackles for loss and sacks.
Van Valkenburg Waldenberg says Vanderbilt does a little bit better when they line up in a blitz. This time they're lined up in a blitz. Tennessee does not have enough people to block all the folks Vandy has coming. You see it again. Nobody touches Jordan. Robinson goes down.
And that was the last play of the first quarter. It's a scoreless game, and it'll be third down goal from the 16-yard line for the Tennessee Volunteers when we return. This is Turner Network Television. Third down and goal from the 16-yard line.
See Kurt Page warming up there on the sideline. Vanderbilt now has 6 defensive backs in the football game. Don't be surprised to see them line up in that same safety blitz and see what Tony Robinson will do this time.
Before Vanderbilt's concerned with Page, they are concerned with keeping Tennessee out of the end zone. A very big conversion here for the Volunteers after the sack of Robinson by Carl Jordan. So let's see what Johnny Majors and the Volunteers come up with on this critical play for them.
Good pass defense is always a combination between pressure and coverage. Vanderbilt seems to be more effective in this area by providing a lot of pressure. If you give a receiver much time to work down this close to the goal line, you got a big problem as a defensive back.
2 receivers split wide and left. 1 to the right side. Right side receiver is Swanson. It's Clint Scales and McGee to the left. Third down goal from the 16.
Here they come.
And they hit Johnny Jones at the 20. Down he goes for a loss. Manuel Young on the blitz.
Kurt Von Valkenburg, the defensive coordinator for Vanderbilt, going with the pressure here. Manuel Young has 3 sacks from this situation. They don't have enough people to block him. They tried to hit a quick trap and spring it. It didn't work this time.
So it's going to be a field goal attempt here of 37 yards for Fuad Reveiz. Remember, he had 18 consecutive field goals until he missed a 57-yarder last year. Virtually Mr. Automatic. And that one is true again. Fuad Reveiz puts the Volunteers into the lead with 14:50 to go in the second quarter. We have missed 1 commercial position last quarter, and for our network stations along the line, we will continue in order. Commercial position number 7 is next. This is Turner Network Television. We saw, as Vanderbilt held Tennessee to that 3 points, we saw Kurt Page warming up on the sideline. Sophomore Ratcher didn't get him going. You think he might go into the game?
I think he's just trying to keep his shoulder loose. I've been a shoulder expert. I've had 5 shoulder operations. So what happens is you're okay at about 80% velocity, but when you try to reach back and really put some smoke on it, your whole shoulder just lets go and you can't get anything on it. So I don't think they're going to use Page unless they really have to, and it's a shame in his last college game here at Vanderbilt.
Number 1 for Vanderbilt, Everett Crawford, doesn't get much on that kickoff return. Out to the 16, he was hit by 39 Tim Welch. Excellent hang time on the kickoff by Reveiz. Now to Atlanta for this college football update.
Thank you, Bob. We're looking at the Army-Navy game right here. Army with the ball. Clarence Jones gets the call, and he finds his way into the end zone for the first score of the game. Army on top of Navy, 7-0.
Vanderbilt first down 10 from their 16-yard line. And as Tim told you, Mark Ratcher continues to quarterback for Vanderbilt. He's going to put it in the air. Open is Chuck Scott, the All-American wide receiver, out to the 39-yard line. First down. Victor Peppers with the tackle. It was a gain of 19 yards.
Chuck Scott is just fun to watch. He's a gutty, courageous receiver. We saw him last year take some shots that would have put other people out for the rest of the year. He was back in a play. Look at him work against the zone. Finds that open area. He's got excellent quickness. Runs a 4.5 40. He's going to be a fine receiver in the pros.
Number 1 freshman, Everett Crawford in the backfield for Vanderbilt now. Ratcher's going to throw on first down again. Look at the time he has. It is complete to Ardell Fuller. Down he goes at the 49, inside Tennessee territory. Tony Simmons with a tackle. Fuller is the senior from Gaffney, South Carolina.
Another fine point, Bob. You mentioned the time, and that's just too much time. Watch Ratcher stand in the pocket, his feet planted, just taking time for Ardell Fuller to work himself deep down the sidelines and come back to the ball on Victor Peppers. Tennessee needs a little bit more pressure.
Ratcher obviously with excellent talent and a strong arm. He's 4 out of 6 for 64 yards thus far. If he gets uncranked, it could be trouble for Tennessee. Hand off to freshman Everett Crawford. He fumbles the ball. Tennessee ball at the 43. Vince Clark fell on the ball. And the freshman bobbled it, and it's Volunteer ball, stopping a Vanderbilt drive.
The Tennessee defense has really come on in his last several games against Georgia Tech, Memphis State, Ole Miss, and even against Kentucky. Zander fills the hole, and the ball popped out, dragging across the top of his body. This is Turner Network Television.
Here's freshman Everett Crawford taking the handoff.
What you have to do on defense, come up with the big plays, come up with the hustle, get around the ball, cause things to happen, provide some momentum for your offense.
First down 10, Volunteers from the 43-yard line of Tennessee now. Robinson rolling out of that pocket. Incomplete. And a penalty marker's down. There'll be pass interference on that play. Kermit Sykes was covering. So mistake-prone Vanderbilt thus far. They've made some penalty mistakes and one turnover. And that's aided Tennessee. Tennessee with a 3-point lead on a 37-yard Fuad Reve's field goal. 13 minutes to go, first half.
You're going to see it again. I think it might have been Timmy Johnson. They've got McGee back in the slot. Johnson moves out to the right, sees the ball being thrown, starts to react back to the football, and he does hit him. Incidental contact if you're a defensive coach. Obvious pass interference if you're anybody else.
So we have to take the blame away from Kermit Sykes, who was not to blame on that play. Timmy Johnson, the sophomore strong safety, and George McIntyre, who's struggled all year. They got off to a 4-0 start here, but then went south. First down 10 from the 42 of Vanderbilt now.
Takes a lot of time up there at the line of scrimmage, doesn't he, Bob?
Looks over that defense to check off if he needs to. Swanson with the reception at the 36-yard line of Vanderbilt. Kermit Sykes with the tackle. To Atlanta now in our studios for a college football update.
Thank you, Bob. We have Auburn, Alabama this time. Bo Jackson gets the call. He goes into the end zone, and Auburn, with a victory, of course, will be going to the Sugar Bowl. They lead Alabama 7-0.
For Tennessee, second down 4 from the 36 of Vanderbilt. This came after the fumble by Everett Crawford and the recovery by Tennessee. There's Robinson checking it off again. Tim, he just does that constantly. Johnny Jones stopped after a gain of a couple of yards, not much more. Armando Fitz with the tackle, and the penalty marker is down at the 25-yard line, back in the Vanderbilt secondary.
There's a little altercation back there between Kermit Sykes. It looked like Sykes and Eric Swanson.
Personal foul, Tennessee. That could be a substantial aid to the Commodores, who turned the ball over at midfield and now see the Volunteers threatening. And the Volunteers are much like any team with a great kicker. Once they get inside the 35-yard line, you're threatened with a field goal. They move it out here now to the 48.5-yard line.
Dead ball, personal foul, offense, that'll be third down.
So it'll be third down replayed. Here are some scores in college football action from around the country today. BC leading Holy Cross 7-0 in the first quarter. Middle Tennessee State, located right here near Nashville, leading Indiana State in 1AA playoffs 21-0. That's being played at Terre Haute, Indiana. 3-0 here in Nashville. 27-yard Fuad Reve's field goal. Volunteers now have the ball, third down, and substantial yardage from their 47.5-yard line. Robinson, nicely developed screen pass, but look at Carl Jordan. Oh, my. William Howard, the freshman, took the screen, but Jordan was there all the time.
Beautiful defensive philosophy. Watch this develop. Carl Jordan never leaves the line of scrimmage. This is a perfect angle. Watch him. His responsibility is screen draw. He sees those linemen going, and he follows them. And that 246-pounder runs a 4.740, so he can cover some ground.
He also ran over center Johnny Hibbett, who was supposed to block out there. What a player. Carl Jordan, number 99. Colquitt gets the punt away. Manuel Young is back to take the punt. It's going to be a tough catch. He fakes the reception, and it goes into the end zone for a touchback. Good job by Manuel Young. 52-yard punt by Jimmy Colquitt. And it'll come out to the 20-yard line where Vanderbilt will take over there. Trailing 3-0. 11:37 to go. Second quarter from Dudley Field on the campus of Vanderbilt University. This is Turner Network Television. Coming up at halftime, we'll preview the Kentucky-Wisconsin matchup in the Hall of Fame Bowl. Dan Henley, executive with the Hall of Fame Bowl, will be here to join us. We'll hear the bands from both schools. Our football action report with all the scores and highlights back to the studios in Atlanta. And, of course, highlights of the first half of this game, which has been unusual. We expected offensive fireworks. Instead, we have a 3-0 Tennessee lead. With 11:37 to go, second quarter. Vanderbilt ball, 1st and 10 from their 20. Play fake for Ratchet. Hits Carl Woods right in the hands. And the fullback, the tailback, couldn't handle the ball.
They're talking about George McIntyre as a possibility as a head coach of Missouri. And considering they work under a different set of circumstances at Vanderbilt. They're higher academic standards. It makes it more difficult to get young people into the school and to keep them in. And when they start losing people to injuries, they really don't have enough depth to replace them with quality players. McIntyre's done an exceptional job here, a fine gentleman and a great offensive mind.
Second down, 10, Vanderbilt. Hand off Carl Woods, gets it out to the 36-yard line on the second down carry. Reggie McKenzie with the tackle. Back to Atlanta now for a further college football update.
Okay, Bob, Division I 2A quarterfinal game here. This is Vince Hall of Middle Tennessee. Good blocking up front. He goes 80 big yards for a touchdown. And Indiana State's having problems with Middle Tennessee. 21-0, second quarter. Back to Bob Green.
For Vanderbilt, 3rd down 4 from the Commodores. 26-yard line. 3-man rush by Tennessee. A lot of time. Chuck Scott couldn't hold on to the pass out of the 35. Vanderbilt fails to convert, has to give up the ball again. That's the time remaining in the first half. Anderson, averaging 50 yards a punt today, comes in to punt it for Vanderbilt. He is an All-American, named to the prestigious Walter Camp All-American team. He may be a consensus All-American, and the last one in the Southeastern Conference, or excuse me, the last one for Vanderbilt was Jim Arnold, who was also a punter a few years ago.
Lim Amity is going to have to put his arm around Mark Ratcher and talk to him a little bit. He doesn't seem to be playing with a lot of confidence, not certainly the confidence he displayed early in the Georgia game.
And that ball goes out of bounds at the 28-yard line. As you can see, the Tennessee back, Andre Kramer, also having problems with the sunshine. The sun is directly into the eyes of the punt returner on that end of the field. So a 46-yard punt by Ricky Anderson. Tennessee's ball at their own 28. I ask you, is that a beautiful view? Music City, USA, the national skyline, pulling back to see the lovely campus of Vanderbilt University. A lot of lovely sights here.
Now, Bob, they've been hitting some short passes here, some quick hitches. This might be a time when they could go downtown.
Tony Robinson certainly has the arm for it. They have the receivers to get under it. Let's see what happens. They give it instead to the tailback onto the 31-yard line. Johnny Jones, not much. Vanderbilt's been playing Jones pretty tough up the middle. Steve Wade with a tackle that time. Johnny Jones has 6 carries and only 9 yards. But he can break loose. Let's not say he's having a bad day yet.
Yes, he can. He hit Memphis State. They were pressuring him. They were giving him a lot of problems, and then he popped one for 61 yards. So he's got the ability to go all the way anytime.
Second down 6 from the 32 for the Volunteers. They lead 3-0. Robinson goes one way. Now he's looking at another. He's in trouble, but look at him avoid the tackles. Throwing on the run out of bounds. That's what Robinson does so well. That'll go down in the statistics as simply an incomplete pass. But he avoided a loss of about 15 yards. Steve Wade with great pressure on him initially, number 90 for Vanderbilt.
Another fine job of disguise by the Vanderbilt defense. Robinson thinks he's going to have McGee. It's not there. He goes back to Swanson on the weak side. Vanderbilt's there. Jordan misses, and now he's just buying time wisely, throws it out of bounds. Good poised play by Tony Robinson.
It'll be 3rd down 6, Volunteers. Robinson with time. Over the middle, and it's complete. When he gets it, he completes it. Out to the 43-yard line. Tim McGee, the receiver, number 88. As Johnny Majors said, the classiest receiver he's ever coached. And Johnny Majors has coached some all-time greats.
He has coached some great receivers, and I think the reason he likes him is he's so smooth and so clever and so knowledgeable in terms of finding that little opening. He got the first down by 1.5 yards. He knew exactly where he was in the field.
9:40 to go, second quarter. Tennessee leads 3-0. First down from the 43-yard line. Inside Vanderbilt territory to the 48 goes fullback William Howard. You're going to hear from this young man. Jot his name down. William Howard. He's a freshman from Lima, Ohio.
Number 90, Steve Wade, moving along the line of scrimmage there. John Wyndham misses a tackle. Howard breaks a tackle, I should say. McCoy came over, tried to take his head off, and Howard almost regained his footing and went all the way.
Howard in that William Andrews school of fullback. 6 feet tall, 215, and he's quick. Second down, about 1. This could be an opportunity for Tennessee if they decided to go ahead and get the first down instead of taking it upstairs. They get it to the 45 of Vanderbilt. Howard again. Jeff Cartwright with the stop for Vanderbilt.
I think Howard displaying a little bit of his power there. Cartwright is the best linebacker that Vanderbilt has, and unloaded on him, and Howard stumbled forward for a few more yards.
George McIntyre again. We mentioned the possibility that George McIntyre might be going to Missouri. Vanderbilt at best hold on to him, I think. He's an excellent coach.
He'd be a fine selection, too. A super gentleman, a man that produces exciting football.
A lot of schools can want George McIntyre. Here's Robinson going upstairs, and he was hit as he released it and threw the ball out of bounds. His receiver, Jeff Smith, the tight end on the fly pattern down the sideline, was deep past the Vanderbilt secondary.
I think we need to mention Walt Harris, too. The offensive coordinator for Tennessee has done an excellent job in bringing along Tony Robinson. When you discover a great talent, sometimes the tendency is to try to give him too much to do too early. Early in the year, they depended on Johnny Jones, ran the football. Now, as Tony Robinson has developed, they've given him more responsibility, and he has accepted it gracefully for sure.
On a second down 10, Robinson again. Incomplete at the 40. Ball thrown a little bit low, intended for Charles Wilson, the freshman backup tailback. And we have to start asking a question about Johnny Jones of Tennessee. Is he playing hurt today? He has been playing sparingly in the second quarter, has only 9 yards rushing the ball, the leading rusher in the Southeastern Conference. So we'll have to check on Johnny Jones to see if he is okay, as Charles Wilson has been playing in his stead. This is 3rd and 10 from the 45 of Vanderbilt.
6 defensive backs in the game for Vanderbilt, Bob.
Robinson with not much pressure. Incomplete, intended for tight end Jeff Smith. Fitz covering on the play. You're not going to see Smith drop many. Smith is one of the best receivers as a tight end in the conference, with 25 catches coming into this game.
He does a nice arm over to release off the line. Armando Fitz, with help deep, is trailing him to the inside. Smith created some distance there. There was room to fit it in. Couldn't hang on to the football.
This is where Jimmy Colquitt of Tennessee is at his best. He will be hitting this ball at right about the 45 of Tennessee, and he's really good at getting it down inside the 10 or the 20. Let's see if he does it. He hits one of the worst punts we've seen all year. It gets a good Tennessee bounce. Jimmy Colquitt says, "Worse this, Neil." He shanks it. It looks like it's heading out of bounds. It hit a rock and bounced back inside and goes out of bounds at the 6. He'll get credit for a 39-yard punt, and it's down inside the 10. This is Turner Network Television. Jimmy Colquitt didn't punt it well is because it was Bob Garman punting. Bob Garman is the backup punter, but he has not punted one time all year. And he shanks it off the right side. He's just a freshman. Why he was punting in place of Colquitt, we don't know. He has not punted previously. There are both of them. Colquitt showing him how not to shank it.
Yeah, keep your eye on the ball, Robert.
Jimmy says, if you're going to replace me, do it this way. Now the youngster got his first one. He's only a freshman. Ratcher down for a safety. Everybody caved in on him. Richard Cooper led the way, number 77.
I'll be interested it to see what happens here. I was looking downfield. He's looking for Kelly. Never had a chance to release it. That's Richard Cooper, who has really made a lot of progress in the last couple of weeks. He hadn't played much early. Jimmy Duncan had been playing, but they like him, especially on the pass rush. Looks like he beat Fletcher there, and Ratcher never had a chance to unload it.
So the Volunteers go out in front by the highly unlikely score of 5-0 with 8:02 to go in the second quarter. Ratcher gets the safety. Vanderbilt gives up the ball now. They'll have a free kick. Usually they'll punt it with a howitzer leg like Ricky Anderson. That'll probably be the case here again. It is a free kick. But Vanderbilt will give the ball up to Tennessee. So Tennessee gets the 2 points and will get the ball back. We're going to go to Atlanta, our studios, for this college football update. 8:02 to go, second quarter. And they're playing Rocky Top, Tennessee, in the Tennessee area of the stadium here at Dudley Field in Nashville. This stadium is a beautiful facility on the campus of Vanderbilt, but seats only 41,000. For this game, it could easily seat 100,000.
41,000, right to the 0-0-0. Now, most stadiums, 41,337. But at Vanderbilt, they've got some great engineers here. They own 41,000, that's it.
Look at that shot. It is taken at the 18-yard line by Kramer. He gets a pretty good return back out here to the 38, about 20 yards roughly. And it was a real shot by Ricky Anderson. There's number 77. There's the defensive tackle, Richard Cooper, who's a freshman from Memphis, who's been coming on so strong. He's destined to become a real star at the University of Tennessee.
2 sacks last week against Kentucky.
So the Volunteers now with a 5-0 lead, a 37-yard Reve's field goal, a Cooper sack of Ratcher, and Volunteer ball again. They pitch it to try to run it outside. Couple of yards to about the 42 or 3-yard line goes Johnny Jones, who's returned to the lineup. Steve McCoy made the tackle. And Tim, I don't know if Jones is hurt or not, but he has been playing sparingly in this game.
Yes, he has. And whenever you carry the ball 200 times a year, you're going to take a lot of shots. He does have a flak jacket on. Might have gotten a little rib damage early. Vanderbilt has him going the way they want him to go, though. They have him going laterally.
Second down 5, Tennessee from the Volunteer 43-yard line. The option play for Johnny Jones. Just what we were talking about. He's gone. For Johnny Jones on the option play, handled well by Robinson.
Robinson comes down the line, options on Watson. Timmy Johnson came up and made a great play, fought off a blocker, but he couldn't hang on to Jones. Emmanuel Young got caught up on the inside, and zingo.
Johnny Jones had 15 yards rushing, and then wham, 72 yards rushing. Just as you mentioned earlier, Tim, he's capable all the time of that. Point after is good, so if Johnny Jones is hurting, you can bet he's feeling better now. A 57-yard touchdown return, and Tennessee takes a 12-0 lead over Vanderbilt with 6:59 to go here in the second quarter. And let's look at Johnny Jones again, a Heisman candidate most of the season.
And he carried this football team early as Robinson developed. He's been injured, and he's the type of back that can play with pain, and that is very important where he's going into the NFL.
Johnny Jones is 5'10", 190 pounds. If he adds about 10 pounds, those statistics would fit another fair to Midland running back by the name of Walter Pate. It was about the same size.
That's correct. One thing Van Valkenburg said about Jones was that he packs a lot of power for his size. He generates a lot more power than his size that you would anticipate from his size.
Johnny Jones back there on the bench, he, as I say, doesn't look in pain now. He had been played sparingly, and once again, sometimes that works well. Depends on the type of back. Some backs like to be fresh, and they'll break them. Some backs have to carry it 35 times a game. So Johnny Majors may have been playing him at the violin. Mays with the kickoff. It's going to come down to 33 Weatherspoon. They're going to rule it's Vanderbilt's ball, and it got a very fortunate bounce. Vanderbilt starting to come apart just a little bit here, giving up the long run, fumbling earlier, then giving up the sack, and now the ball bouncing loose on the kickoff return. Possibly a loss of concentration.
In a game like this, for Vanderbilt, the special teams have to help you. And that certainly doesn't help any. It's just, as you mentioned, Bob, a matter of concentration.
So a fortunate bounce for the Commodores. The ball placed at the 29-yard line where it's first down 10. Here's Carl Woods. Needs to get outside. Isn't going to be anything there. Yes, he breaks loose and gets about 4 or 5 tough yards. Woods showing explosive speed to the outside. Excellent penetration by the defensive left side, particularly 51 Reggie McKenzie. Time left in the second quarter.
Watch this again as Woods wants to take it up inside. Just no room as McKenzie forces him to the outside. They lose a little containment there. Vince Clark should have been there to make that stop. Woods turns it into a few yards upfield. Could have been a 5-yard loss.
Second down 4. The ball out to the 34.5-yard line. Tennessee leading 12-0. 6:12 to go, second quarter. Keith Edwards in motion and coming back the other way out of his A-back position. Here's Carl Woods, needs the block. Doesn't get it. Struggles to get to the 35. Tennessee's defense dominating now, as you can see on the penetration when they try to go outside. Let's go to our Atlanta studios for a further college football update.
Okay, Bob, Army headed for its first bowl ever in the Cherry Bowl in Pontiac, Michigan, and now we're watching Doug Black head for the second touchdown for the Cadets this afternoon. Little surprise, 14-0. Back to Bob.
Third down 4, Vanderbilt. They're out to their own 35-yard line. Key conversion situation for sophomore Martin. It's complete. They say Chuck Scott got in bounds. What a great reception by the senior receiver out here to the 41-yard line for the first down. That was very close.
We'll see it here. Gets to the outside.
He got it in.
Look at that guy.
Great replay.
Unbelievable. Chuck Scott.
.26 to go in the first half. First down, Commodores. Here comes Carl Woods. He gets it to about the 45, nearly the 45. He was tripped up by Jesse Messimer and Robbie Scott. Messimer, the backup linebacker. Robbie Scott, the middle guard. And George McIntyre, you know, last week, speaking of high-powered offense that Vanderbilt's been known for, last week Vanderbilt only scored 3 points against Virginia Tech. Here they've been shut out in the first half. No touchdowns now in 6 quarters.
I didn't think anybody could slow them down. But understand this, too. They're playing with Mark Ratcher. Page has been the guy that's generated all the offense for them. Ratcher now here checking off.
Second down 7 from the 44. Ratcher with time. Complete to Carl Woods. Close to the first down, but shy. Carl Woods, I believe, is brought down short of the first down. It will be very close. He had nowhere to go. I don't think he was the primary target there, but Ratcher, who had a lot of time, selected him, and it's going to be third down and less than a yard for the first. I don't see Kurt Page throwing on the sideline anymore. I'm sure that Vanderbilt had him down there earlier trying to check the arm out of Kurt Page, the senior. He probably told him it was too sore to throw, so they're going with Ratcher. Double tight ends for the Commodores. Carl Woods hit at the line of scrimmage. I don't believe he got there. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage. Dale Jones, the big play linebacker on the outside for Tennessee, is going to be there on every kind of critical play. You can just about count on it. Let's see where they spot the ball. They have to bring the sticks in.
I think they're going to. Larry Marmion, talking about Dale Jones, says his technique's not always correct, but you're going to love the results. I mean, he is reckless abandon personified. We saw him against Auburn single-handedly tear out the ball from 2 Auburn runners, cause fumbles, and he has been their big play man throughout the year, as you mentioned.
They're strong on the outside. McKenzie and Jones and Jim Duncan, who's had to go in at defensive tackle to fill in for injuries. As you can see, they're short. And Vanderbilt's going to go for it. Let's watch him again. Here comes number 54, Jones.
He's blitzing from the outside, beats Keith Edwards, takes his helmet off, stops him.
Well, George McIntyre changed his mind, is now going to punt the ball away, listens to a chorus of boos from the Commodore fans, makes his decision anyway. And Anderson, averaging 48.5 yards a punt, is in there again. Timeout, University of Tennessee. We have 4 minutes exactly remaining in the first half. Tennessee leads 12-0 on the unusual combination of a touchdown, point after, field goal, and safety. Tennessee elects to call a timeout. This telecast is authorized under broadcast rights granted by the Southeastern Conference and is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, rebroadcast, or retransmission of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Southeastern Conference and Turner Broadcasting is prohibited. And there's the young man on the spot, Mark Ratcher. He has played well in spurts this year.
Yes, he has. When he's come in support of Kurt Page, he seemed to do well. He played well against LSU, played well early against Georgia. As they began to pressure him, it seemed his concentration waned a little bit, or maybe it was confidence. They needed him last week against Virginia Tech. He's got a lot of ability, but not much experience. And when things start going the other way, he wasn't able to stop him last week.
Tennessee has nobody back deep. They may think Vanderbilt was going for a fake here. Let's watch and see. There is no deep punt returner for Tennessee. Anderson checking that out right now. Well, he's going to punt it, whatever the case was. This may be an opportunity for a good break for the Vanderbilt, but they don't take advantage of it. The ball gets into the end zone. And a chorus of boos again from the Vanderbilt Commodore fans as Tennessee brings it out to the 20-yard line. We'll have a recap of the 1984 football season, Saturday, December 15th at 10:40 p.m. Eastern Time. 10:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Jot that down on your calendar. The story of the 84 football season. Hope you'll join us for that. At 10:40. TNT time. Auburn and Alabama tied 7-7. Auburn playing today for a chance to go to the Sugar Bowl if they can beat Alabama. Here's pitch to the tailback, Johnny Jones. Almost found the seam again. Down he goes to the 30-yard line. Tennessee starting to dominate this game on both sides of the line of scrimmage now. Whether that will continue or not remains to be seen. But right now it's going all Volunteers' way.
We're going to see this again, and I'm not sure if it's Ollinger or Hibbett that gets an excellent block here on Jeff Cartwright. Sometimes these Tennessee numbers are hard to see from up here, but he knocked him back off the ball 5 or 6 yards.
And off to the fullback, 2 or 3 yards on the right side. First down, Tennessee. That's Kenneth B.B. Cooper. We asked him if the BB was for bowling ball, and they said no, just BB. It's for BB, huh? Which is enough for me. 3:12 to go second quarter. Tennessee 12, Vanderbilt nothing. Tony Robinson having himself a fine day. 9 out of 16 for 55 yards, and his contribution isn't always measured in simple passing statistics. It's a scrambling, slick ball handling, etc. Slick handling that time, but Charles Wilson, the freshman, number 32, meets 52 Mac McCarroll, sophomore linebacker for Vanderbilt, with a nice tackle. You might say Vanderbilt needs a break here to get back in this game, Tim Foley. A long play, a big play.
Perfect point. They need to make something happen. They haven't really been attacking and aggressive on offense. They've been playing kind of a possession offense, and defensively they've played well, but no big plays yet.
Second down 8, 2 freshman running backs in there for Tennessee. Robinson's going to throw the ball. It's complete to the 48-yard line of the Vanderbilt Commodores, number 88, Tim McGee.
You usually cause things to happen by applying pressure. And whenever you apply pressure, obviously you're risking the big play also. And we saw it last week with Mississippi State. Came with a weak safety blitz, and Mississippi broke a long run for a touchdown.
16 yards on that completion to Tim McGee. McGee's 4th catch of the afternoon. Having himself a fine day. Play fake, and Robinson is on the loose to throw again. Has a man wide open at the 33-yard line. Eric Swanson this time. Fawn Anderson covering. About 3 or 4 yards between Eric Swanson and the cornerback, Fawn Anderson down there. Johnny Majors is opening up this Tennessee attack now. You can just see them spreading out the defense and opening up holes.
We had talked to John, too. He's had a lot of success in his career, and he said you have to deal with success. You have to learn how to deal with the hard times, too. Close ranks, be resilient, be persistent, come together, and that's what this Tennessee team has done.
On the first down, 10. Back to the tailback. Down to the 29-yard line. Johnny Jones, Steve McCoy with the stop. Clock down to 1:37 and counting down in the first half. Tennessee with a 12-0 lead, and now into field goal range for Fuad Reveiz in case they don't get it into the end zone. Tennessee in that dangerous territory. So here the Commodores really need to find some defensive strength. And perhaps that big play we've been talking about. Vanderbilt in a 4-3 defensive alignment. Tennessee in a real pro set here. Slot right formation, one receiver to the left, and split backs. Passing formation for Robinson. Penalty marker is down. Wide open is the fullback, Howard. He is knocked out of bounds at the 23-yard line, but a penalty marker on the line of scrimmage may have something to do with the alignment of the receivers here on the near side of the field.
Yeah, I think it did, Bob. Excuse me for laughing.
You like it when receivers make errors.
Well, you know,
it goes back to your heritage.
Yeah, right. Ike Holtz and Swanson were doing a little bit of a dance. But you could tell they were having discussion.
You go up to the line.
It was like this. Yeah, you're on the line. No, I'm not. No, you are. And they kind of moved them back and forth a little bit. And they were moving when the ball was snapped, I believe.
All right, here they're checking out. Well, wait a minute.
Right, and then that's why they penalized Vanderbilt.
After we make that explanation. I'm interested in hearing this one. So is George McIntyre. Look at the look of disbelief on his face. You gotta be kidding me. And of course now we don't have any kind of indication from the official on what the call was. I think maybe they allowed the play and picked up the flag and said that's possible. I did not see them wave the flag. The official signal for the disregard a penalty flag is to pick it up and wave it toward the press box. I did not see that. It may have happened. At any rate, they did disregard the penalty, allowed the play, and here's Tennessee on a first down. And down goes Robinson. Armando Fitz, number 22, making the tackle.
Armando Fitz coming from the defensive left side on a blitz. Robinson looking for McGee, Kermit Sykes, and an excellent job of coverage downfield.
There's Armando from Madison. He's had 4 tackles and a sack this afternoon. That's time remaining here in the first half. Tennessee leading by a score of 12-0. And Robinson's over on the sideline talking to Harris and Johnny Majors and all the assistant coaches over there. Johnny Majors, who was an All-American at Tennessee and played against Vanderbilt in 54, 55, and 56. In 56, Johnny Majors was runner-up for the Heisman Trophy to our TNT studio ace, Paul Hornung, who won the Heisman that year at Notre Dame. And Johnny Majors is still revered for his great years as a player at Tennessee, but of course now in his 8th year at Tennessee as head coach. And he's been developing some good Tennessee football teams, consistent teams.
Yes, he has, and he's got a fine staff with Walt Harris leading the offensive staff and Larry Marmee, former assistant for Dick Crum at North Carolina, coordinating the defense.
Second down, 18, Tennessee from the 32-yard line of Vanderbilt in that pro set formation this time. Robinson, plenty of time now. Can't find anybody. Down he goes at the 29-yard line. Gain of only 2 yards. Steve Wade with the tackle. So it will be 3rd down and substantial yardage. Tennessee has to get to the 12.5-yard line of Vanderbilt for the first down.
It's always dangerous on defense when you're playing man-to-man defense. I think McGee has injured his ankle and he's having a problem with the footing down there. One concern you always have on defense is a quarterback that can run when you're in man-to-man coverage. So, I mean, a quarterback draw or something with the quarterback coming out there with the ball wouldn't surprise me.
Single setback under pressure. Robinson gets it away anyway. Incomplete at the 21. Intended for Tim Hendricks, the tight end, the 3rd-team tight end. Robinson was fighting off number 89, John Wyndham, back there when he threw the ball. But Tennessee didn't convert. Now, the line of scrimmage is about the 30, so this will be about a 46 or 47-yard field goal attempt by Fuad Reveiz. And now Robinson limps a little, as actually I take that back. He's not limping. Robinson leaves the field. Looks to be okay. 47-yard attempt coming up by Fuad Reveiz. Saw him check his left knee there. He may have got a little twist on it. Didn't look to be serious, though.
Steve,
Gervais has, excuse me, Tim, has a 37-yarder earlier today.
Steve Wade made that tackle chasing down Tony Robinson, and they say Wade's an old-fashioned football player. Remember that Van Valkenburg was talking about the knee problem that he had and popped out in practice, and he just popped it right back in.
Ooh.
And went on. He's got a high threshold of pain. We had a guy like that with the Dolphins, Bob Kuchenberg. He just didn't have any nerve endings in his body. He could play forever.
All my nerve endings are in my teeth. That's why the dentist scares me to death. Not in my head, however. There's Gervais looking at it, thinking it through. Gervais is one of these mental approach kickers. He thinks it through, says he takes a view of it. Now Vanderbilt's going to call timeout to let Fuad Gervais have a little bit more time for his mental exercise. Clock is down to 8 seconds remaining in the half, so this will be virtually the last play of the half. There'll probably be enough time for a kickoff if he makes it, or a play from the line of scrimmage by Vanderbilt if they don't make it. Fuad Gervais from Miami, Florida, playing in his last game for the University of Tennessee, except for, of course, the Sun Bowl. 47-yard attempt.
It may not make it. No, it is wide to the right side. Highly unusual. Fuad Gervais misses wide to the right side. And remember, despite the domination of Tennessee, there's 3 seconds left in the first half. Despite the domination of Tennessee here in ball control, yardage, and points, Tennessee leads only 12-0. And as my old friend Lehman Bennett, who used to coach the Atlanta Falcons, would tell his team, we're only 2 plays away from the lead here.
Isn't that the truth? That game the other night on football, 31-0 at halftime, the Vikings came back in. The Dolphins against the Chargers, 24-0. They were back in a football game. Hail Mary against Miami.
Yeah, just last week. 2 weeks ago, I guess. Ratcher's going to try to go long. Has everybody down there. It's popped into the air, and Tennessee intercepts. And down goes the interceptor at the 31-yard line. It's 22 Charles Davis, and that will end the half on a kind of a throw it up for a prayer toss by Mark Ratcher that goes for naught. A Tennessee interception. The half is over. Tennessee leads by a score of 12-0. This is Turner Network Television.
Vanderbilt nothing at Dudley Field on the campus of Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. Coming up on December 29th, we'll have for you on most of these TNT stations the Hall of Fame Bowl with Kentucky and Wisconsin. And
has close to 90 yards in the first half. Most of them on the 57-yard touchdown run that you're going to see right here. Johnny Jones, of course, is the only back in the history of volunteer football to gain over 1,000 yards in a season, and he has done it 2 years in a row. All right, let's take a look now at what is happening in the telephone poll that we have asked you to participate in. So far, of those of you who have called in, 34,193 say no. BYU does not deserve to rank number 1. 27,181 say yes. BYU does deserve to rank number 1 again.
he comes to take this and show us that he's relatively healthy. 57 yards for a TD.
Johnny Jones has averaged 5.7 yards. And what happens when you've got a great back is he'll just pick at you, bang at you, bang at you, and all of a sudden, zingo, 60 yards, 50 yards, and that can hurt you.
Tim Foley, when you look at the second half, Vanderbilt shut out here. What do we expect to see? You have any idea?
Well, I think they obviously need to make some adjustments. Though they went into a running style of offense to try to maintain possession of the football. And I think they probably sat down and had a talk with Ratcher and try to get his head together a little bit. I don't think that we'll see Kurt Page. They certainly would like to use Kurt Page, a man that has done as much as he has done over his career here at Vanderbilt. But when you've got a shoulder like he does, you just can't reach back and throw it. I don't think you'll see him.
Okay, let's see the Vanderbilt band now.
Very unusual statistic there. You see, Vanderbilt has thrown the ball only 11 times. And we're not making excuses for the Commodores, but we have sophomore Mark Ratcher playing in place of the leading total offensive quarterback in the SEC, Kurt Page, who separated his shoulder last week against Virginia Tech. And there's the field position, which has told a major story in this game. Vanderbilt's best starting position was the 30-yard line, but as you see, a couple of pretty good ones, a 38 and a 43 there for Tennessee to start their possessions. And twice Vanderbilt has had to start their offense inside the 10-yard line. Both teams are back on the field now. It is halftime. It is a beautiful afternoon in Nashville, about 50 degrees, clear blue skies, and a good day for football. And that man, Kurt Page, playing his last game, he hopes, for Vanderbilt. He did not play in the first half. They want to use him in the second half. You see him warming up, testing that shoulder again. And Tim, as you and I have said, it's going to be very difficult, but there's a chance that Kurt Page will get back in this game.
So when you've got an injured shoulder, you have to do everything in a planned fashion. It's hard to do what he does so well. Go to that third receiver and just pop him in a hurry. You don't really need a healthy arm to throw a long ball, but you need it to throw that intermediate range pass that he throws so well. That 20-yard slant in, angle in, or the deep O cut. And that's what worries, I'm sure, the coaches. But they may go to him and just limit him to throwing the short dump-offs and let him try to move the ball down the field against Tennessee.
Tennessee won the coin toss at the beginning of this game and elected to exercise their option in the second half, giving Vanderbilt the ball first. So Johnny Majors Volunteers will have the ball here to begin the second half, as Vanderbilt will kick off to Tennessee. And Johnny Majors taking his team to the Sun Bowl. Tennessee had been playing well after overcoming a rash of injuries, and then last week ran into that steamroller called Kentucky. Jerry Claiborne's Wildcats seem to beat you whatever way they need to. We saw them play very tough against Florida, and last week Tennessee was clinging, had an opportunity to beat Kentucky, but Kentucky let the clock run up.
That's correct. Tennessee moved the ball right at the end of the game. They went from their own 13-yard, I guess it was their own, what was it, about 13-yard line down to Kentucky's 15-yard line in less than 2 minutes. But as you mentioned, the clock expired as the game ended with them on the 13-yard line.
You saw 32 and 36 for Tennessee. That's Wilson and Panuska back to take the Ricky Anderson kickoff. Good, high, excellent hang time, but it carries out of the end zone and will come out to the 30-yard line. For Tennessee, some pretty good field position once again, as Ricky Anderson got underneath that one a little bit more than he wanted to, and Tennessee brings it to the 30, where they will go first down 10 with Tony Robinson at quarterback. We have seen 5 running backs in this game so far, and we'll just check to see who the starters are. Johnny Jones has been alternating with Charles Wilson. We have Johnny Jones and Kenneth Cooper in the backfield for Tennessee to start this second half. Tennessee leading 12-0. Here's Johnny Jones. Close to a first down on his first carry. Manuel Young with the tackle.
Good job of blocking by number 81, Jeff Smith. And also watch B.B. Cooper, number 30. That little bowling ball, he's going to cut down Timmy Johnson. That creates the seam there.
It is a first down carry for Johnny Jones, who has 95 yards on the afternoon. To the 40-yard line. And off to the fullback. He gets about a half a yard, no more than that. Steve McCoy with the tackle. Number 30, Kenneth Cooper with the carry. And McCoy, the middle linebacker for Vanderbilt, with his 4th tackle of the day, a senior from Dallas, Texas. McCoy's a key man in stopping this run. He has to be playing, what do you call it, Tim? He has to be protected back there, but you have a great word for that. Clean.
I'll think
what
of
is
it.
It?
Keep a linebacker clean.
Clean,
yeah,
whatever you call it. Try to think of what it is, because I love it.
Okay.
It is second down, nothing, Tennessee. Hand off to the tailback, Johnny Jones. Hit after a gain of only about a yard by Steve McCoy, who the Vanderbilt kept clean back there.
Very good.
Able to make the tackle.
Very good. You'll watch Steve McCoy now. Last week against Kentucky, or 2 weeks ago against Kentucky, he took on George Adams like this and dropped him right in his tracks. And he did the same thing to Johnny Jones. He's most valuable though, because of his input to the coaches. He's able to tell Kurt Van Valkenburg exactly what the blocking schemes are there, and Van Valkenburg makes the adjustments.
Third down 7, Tennessee, from the Volunteer 43-yard line, opening moments of the second half. Play fake. Robinson wants to go to the air. Does that. It is complete for a first down at the 44-yard line of Vanderbilt. Tennessee continues on the roll. Fawn Anderson covering Eric Swanson. Anderson's had his handfuls all afternoon with Eric Swanson on these out patterns.
You'd like to get some underneath help from a linebacker or something out there. Anderson's supposed to protect deep, and he should be getting somebody to help him. As you can see, Armando Fitz has pulled up on the short man there. Maybe he should lay back a little bit, and as the ball is thrown, react up to the back in the flat.
For Tennessee, first down 10 from the 44. Here comes tailback Johnny Jones. Stopped short this time, maybe a gain of a yard, not much more than that. Steve McCoy in on the play again. McCoy's been very active here in the start of the second half. And by the way, Johnny Jones, with that carry, has just wrapped up the Southeastern Conference rushing title for 1985, passing Dalton Hilliard. 1984, correction. William Howard, Charles Wilson, the running backs in there for Tennessee. They are in a split back formation. They are both freshmen. Often, Robinson likes to pass when those two freshmen are in there and in that alignment. He's going to do it. Open down the middle. Complete for a first down. 81, Jeff Smith, the tight end, tackled by Steve McCoy. There comes Johnny Jones back into the football game, alternating with Charles Wilson today.
You might wonder why that middle area of the field is open so often. On that particular defense, they divided the field up into 4 quarters. And the receiver's responsibility is to come down and hook directly between the linebackers, get as far away from each one of them as you can, and the quarterback drills them the ball.
There's Johnny Jones again to the 30-yard line this time, and Steve McCoy again with 8 tackles now in the afternoon. And this man has 4 tackles since the second half began.
You're talking about keeping the linebacker clean. That time, Hibbett just misses him. He fights off the block and gets to the ball carrier. This has becoming a tackling drill for Steve McCoy. In a 4-3 defense, though, that middle linebacker's got to be mobile, should be in on a lot of plays.
Second down 9, Volunteers from the 30 of the Commodores. Not much this time, only a yard or 2 to about the 28-yard line. Steve Wade with the tackle for Vanderbilt that time of Johnny Jones. Let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
From Turner Broadcasting System, you're watching Superstation WTBS, Atlanta.
So it will now be 3rd down, 7 from the 28. Another key defensive 3rd down play for Vanderbilt here. Swanson splits wide to the left, McGee to the right side for Tennessee. Backs are Wilson and Cooper. Robinson, well protected, can't find anybody. Going to try to run for the first down. He got it. Robinson got the first down. Excellent job, Steve Wade with the tackle. But Tony Robinson doing what he does so well, and that's hurting you just when you don't need to be hurt.
In this area of the field, what you're going to get is man-to-man coverage underneath and too deep. Everybody is running patterns to the sideline. Everybody's cleared out. Once he gets by that first perimeter of rush, he's got some clear sailing. Wade hustles back and makes a stop.
Tony Robinson, what a day he's having today. Again, key clutch plays more than simple statistics. And this is something else he does well, and that's check off at the line of scrimmage. Checking out the defense, calling what he thinks will work best under the circumstance. Avoids the sack attempt, throws on the run. He's got a man open for the touchdown, Tennessee, Tim McGee.
Mobility of a quarterback is a thing that can kill you on defense. You see the freshman, Richard Stahl, coming up. Robinson avoids the rush. McGee had broken down to the outside when he saw Robinson scrambling, took it upfield, had a step on Kermit Sykes, and it results in 6 points for Tennessee.
Remays for the point after attempt. It's good, and the score is Tennessee 19, Vanderbilt nothing. 10:24 to go, 3rd quarter of play. Built with good quarterback pressure, but Robinson gets out of there in a hurry.
Stahl comes from the top of your picture. He's really out of the screen, out of the picture. Now Robinson scrambles to the outside and drills the ball down the field to Timmy McGee for a touchdown. Buying time. Valuable asset to have in ability to have in a quarterback.
There are the deep backs for Vanderbilt. Crawford and Weatherspoon, number 1 and number 33. Crawford's on the left side of the screen. Weatherspoon down on the box. Weatherspoon is fumbled once on a kickoff return. Gervais set to kick it off from the 40 for the Volunteers, leading 19-0. Everett Crawford, who fumbled from the line of scrimmage. Let's see if he holds on to it this time. Holds on to the ball and gets out to the 22-yard line. Where Vanderbilt goes on offense once again. And Mark Ratcher continues at quarterback. Ratcher 6 out of 11 for 75 yards. He has 1 interception. Been sacked in the end zone one time for a safety. Woods has carried 15 times for Vanderbilt, but has only 57 yards on the afternoon. Tennessee's been able to wrap up that Vanderbilt running game quite successfully. There's the scoring drive for Tennessee. 70 yards, 10 plays, consuming 4 minutes, 36 seconds. And Robinson hits McGee for the 19-yard touchdown pass.
Robinson, a big part of that drive all the way. Scrambled for a first down, hit Swanson for a first down, and then finally to McGee in the end zone.
From the 21-yard line, Vanderbilt, Ratchet. Back into his face by the on-rushing Volunteers. Robbie Scott, the middle guard, shooting right up the middle. Bringing up second down 10 for the Commodores.
What needs to happen here, Bob, is Rob Monaco, that tremendous left tackle of theirs, and he needs to stick his head in a huddle and say, hey, boys, let's go. Let's get it going. Let's get something started. Knock somebody on the ground.
Second down 10. Ratcher could go to the air again. It's complete to Edwards, a gain of about 3 or 4 yards on the play. It'll bring up third down long. Keith Edwards with only his second catch of the day. Remember, he came into this game leading the conference in receiving with 57 catches. He's had only 2 this afternoon.
At 15 against Kentucky. And, you know, he's like the Rodney Dangerfield receiver of the SEC. He doesn't get any respect. He caught 97 balls last year, caught almost 60 this year, but they say he's not a real receiver because he doesn't line up from the outside. But he catches the ball and takes a beating.
There you see him lining up on the left. That's his A-back position. Ratcher avoiding some sacks. Throws it right upfield to Chuck Scott, who couldn't hold on to it. Good coverage by Charles Benton, number 20 for Tennessee. Let's take a look at it. Chuck Scott, the intended receiver.
When this happens, you know you have trouble. Chuck Scott, the man playing inside him. He beats him inside anyway. Ratcher delivers the ball. It's a little bit behind him, but certainly catchable.
May have been tipped or at least screened by Benton on the play. Whatever the case is, it goes as an incompletion. There's number 1, Andre Kramer, the freshman punt returner for Tennessee. Ricky Anderson will punt it from his 10. You can see Kramer shading his eyes, the sun in his eyes. Tennessee leading 19-0, 9:57 to go, third quarter. Anderson gets away another one of those long punts. Looks like an outfielder shading his eyes from the sun there. Here's Andre Kramer down at the 34-yard line. And the Volunteers take over possession of the ball again. A 53-yard punt that time by Ricky Anderson, an All-American punter this year. And Johnny Major's offense comes onto the field. This is Turner Network Television. Smiling, but Smokey is smiling. I happen to know that. Being from those parts, I know about that. 9:43 to go, third quarter. Tennessee football leading 19-0. Tennessee has dominated this game with the exception of the very opening moments when Vanderbilt seemed to have their offense getting on track, but then some turnovers and penalties, and Vanderbilt just became sluggish offensively, and it's been all Tennessee since. But here's that big defensive play. Number 22, Armando Fitz, coming in to put the big clutch on Johnny Jones. Throws him for a loss. And now let's go back to our studios in Atlanta for this college football update.
Thank you, Bob. Watch this run by Malcolm King of Georgia Tech. Has the ball on his own 39-yard line. Breaks up the middle. That's Tony Flack, number 8, who thinks he has the tackle. The King gets away. 58 yards on the play. Robert Levette scores 1 play later. Tech on top of Georgia 7-3.
That game happening in Athens, Georgia. Much like a lot of these backyard brawls, traditional rivalries that are happening all across the country today. Oh, you can hear that pop up here. Kenneth Cooper is hit hard by Armando Fitz. Fitz is making himself known on that outside linebacker position, number 22. He's had an excellent day, 5 tackles and a quarterback sack.
Armando's getting a lot of playing time today because of an injury to Jeff Holt. And he had an interception for a touchdown against LSU that kind of sparked the Vanderbilt comeback in that game, and certainly is playing well in this series.
Third down, 8 Volunteers from their own 36-yard line. Commodores have 9 of their 11 defensive players right up on the line of scrimmage.
Here they come, Bob.
That's number 32, Charles Wilson, who gets the first down by doing the most effective thing you can do against that kind of blitz, and that's running the ball, trying to find a place to pop it through. If you pop it cleanly, it's goodbye. He gets the first down.
Again, they're running a little quick, short trap. You see the guard pulling in there, Upton clearing that hole out, and this time they hit it. Fortunately, Manuel Young did not penetrate. He pursued laterally, came over and made the tackler. That would have been a touchdown.
Charles Wilson, the man backing up Johnny Jones, who'll be departing, and Charles Wilson showing that he's going to be a good tailback for Tennessee, too. Johnny Majors thinks his team next year may be better than this year's team. On the first down, Tony Robinson going to take it upstairs. He has McGee all alone. Touchdown, Tennessee! Tony Robinson to Timmy McGee.
Johnny Major said he's never had a quarterback that had as good a touch on the long ball as Tony Robinson from the day he arrived in Knoxville. He said he saw it down in Tallahassee Leon High School. Tony Robinson puts that one right on the numbers. Timmy McGee behind the Vanderbilt secondary, and he's got another touchdown pass today. Look, Tony is excited. He's an enthusiastic, competitive quarterback.
Today's point after is good, and Tennessee takes a commanding 26-0 lead over Vanderbilt with 7:47 to go. Third quarter from Dudley Field in Nashville.
Player. One time he got on the phone and said to Walt Harris during kind of a conversation, a pensive conversation discussing terminology, he said, "Come on, Coach, get excited."
That's what he's saying right now. He's on the phone with him right now.
And Walt's telling him, "I'm excited."
Maybe on a long-distance call back to Tallahassee, wanting to know if they're watching this afternoon. The boys at Leon High got this dialed in. 2 touchdown passes today for Tony Robinson. He's thrown for 191 yards. That was a 66-yard drive in only 4 plays. Coming down to Crawford at the 2. He's outside. Tripped up at the 44-yard line of Tennessee. Pete Panuska with the tackle. He was only a player or 2 away, but hold it. The 54-yard kickoff return isn't going to count. In most probability, there is a penalty marker down for possibly clipping. I didn't see it on there, but we sure did see the yellow flag come down. When you're hot, and when you're not, you're not. And that's the case for Vanderbilt today. I can't remember but 1 kickoff return as we watch Jimmy Harper come out here with the announcement. Defensive hold or offensive holding on that. I can't remember 1 long kickoff return. That was last week. Lee Davis of Ole Miss. 1 long one all year. That's gone without a flag.
Yeah. And you know what's amazing here is I think last week was the first time that this Vanderbilt offense has been held touchdownless. And as you pointed out, they haven't scored yet in the third quarter.
It is 26 for Tennessee, nothing for Vanderbilt this afternoon. Vanderbilt got only a field goal last week against Virginia Tech. It is complete out to the 15-yard line. Gain of about 5 or 6 yards. Receivers Carl Woods. And let's go to our studios in Atlanta for this college football update.
Auburn and Alabama, and Ray Perkins got to be smiling. This is Paul Ott-Caruth for his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon, and could this be a big one? Alabama 14, Auburn 7. Back to Bob.
Yeah, Paul Ott-Caruth looks like Paul Hornan running that football. Not much speed, but a lot of power, doesn't he?
Effective in the clutch. 2nd down 4. Vanderbilt from their own 16. Ratcher rolling and looking. Gets some good protection. It's complete to Carl Woods. No, they say he dropped it. The receivers for Vanderbilt just not holding on. We've talked about replacing Ratcher with Page and how Vanderbilt would like to have Page in there, but Page can't catch the ball for these guys.
Ratcher buys some time here. It's the moving pocket. They're trying to set up that Tennessee rush to point to a specific spot. Then they change the spot by moving the quarterback outside. He finds Woods downfield, can't hold on.
We've seen Chuck Scott drop passes, Woods drop passes, even Keith Edwards, and these players are gritty, tough receivers for Vanderbilt. They're not holding on to it today. On 3rd down, Ratcher Gets it to Carl Woods for the first down out to the 21-yard line. Reggie McKenzie covering on the play. Vanderbilt does get the first down with 6:36 to go, quarter number 3. George McIntyre not having a good afternoon for his final game of 1984.
Well, he's on the phone with Lynn Amity, and they've got two of the best offensive minds in the country. Lynn, I know, is talking to Tulane about that job there, and has designed some fantastic offenses. But as you mentioned, Bob, and I think so appropriately, they can't play. And when the ball's on the money, they're dropping it, and if they're open, the ball sometimes is thrown underneath.
Open again. There's Chuck Scott, incomplete. Good defensive coverage from Charles Davis coming up from behind Scott on that play out at the 47-yard line. Good contact on the moment of reception.
Here's Chuck Scott, one of the premier receivers in college football for the last several years, working against the zone defense of Tennessee. The ball thrown back behind him, tries to go back for it. Charlie Davis there to break it up.
So it will be second down 10 Vanderbilt from the 22-yard line of the Commodores. 6:13 to go, quarter number 3. They're in that A-back offense. Single set back Woods. A-back is Keith Edwards. Ratchet finds a man this time. He just keeps throwing until somebody catches it, and it's Chuck Scott out at the 45-yard line. Davis with the tackle.
I think they've got to go to the air. Tennessee is going to give them pretty much of a zone look now. They've got a comfortable lead. They should be able to move the ball down the field in this fashion.
And in comes Kurt Page on the first down call. Mark Ratcher comes out of the game, 10 of 19 for 110 yards. And Kurt Page playing with the separated shoulder, number 12, the senior. Went to high school right here next to the Vanderbilt campus at Father Ryan High School in Nashville. Here's Page. First toss. Complete. For a gain of about 4 yards, it's Ardell Fuller who takes that one out of bounds. Good zip on that ball, but you have to ask Tim how long that zip can last on a separated shoulder.
Well, I'm sure Kurt had been talking to George and Lynn and trying to get into the football game. He's that kind of kid. He's a competitor. He's had a glorious career here at Vanderbilt. Really been a great player for him and a real on-the-field spark plug leader type, whereas Ratcher is very quiet.
Well, let's see what Vanderbilt can do. 26-0. They trail. 5:40 to go, third quarter. Page, incomplete. There's a penalty marker down at the line of scrimmage, not at the point of reception, but at the line of scrimmage. Coper covering Edwards on the play. Here's Jimmy Harper, the referee, holding Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has more than 50 yards, about 60 yards in penalties today, and a couple of turnovers. That's hurt them a little bit. Mainly Tennessee's dominated both sides of the ball. Not really turnovers and mistakes as much as the Tennessee Volunteers have played so well today.
There's Donnie Sherman, the man in the foreground with the headset on, Chuck Scott, and George McIntyre, one of the great gentlemen in college football coaching.
If your kid played football, he'd be one of the guys you'd want your kid to play for, that's for sure. The testimony there is his kid came to play here. Mike McIntyre, who is a freshman defensive back who went to high school here in Nashville, chose to come here to Vanderbilt to play. He had the opportunity to go other places. That says a lot about Coach and Father George right there. Here's Kurt Page now, just entered the game moments ago. Second down, 15 Vanderbilt following the penalty. Down he goes. That's what they did not want to happen to Page. Dale Jones with a sack. Page injured the shoulder on a sack last week. He can't take too many licks on it, and he gets one on his third pass attempt of the afternoon.
Well, he's a gutty competitor, or he wouldn't be standing under the center right now. Nothing open. He keeps looking downfield, and Dale Jones comes, and he tries to stay off that shoulder. Rolls himself into a little ball.
Now it's third down 20 Vanderbilt. They have to get to the 45-yard line of Tennessee for the first down. Scott, Bullen, Kelly, the wide receivers, Woods and Edwards in the backfield for the Commodores. Three-man rush. Page takes it upstairs, but you can see he's got problems. Either he had a problem or Butch Bullen, number 21, did. Bullen cut to the inside. Pass was thrown to the outside. Vanderbilt turns it over.
And you could see him labor in that delivery. Usually he's got that quick release and really pops it out there. That time he had to warm up a little bit, take that big swing with the ball. He certainly is not himself, and give him a lot of credit for even being in there.
So Anderson comes in to punt once again. Ricky Anderson will be hitting the ball for the 6th time this afternoon.
And for a young secondary from Tennessee, you really got to give them a lot of credit. They've been doing a fine job.
Drives it deep. Kramer takes it right at the 10. Good coverage by Vanderbilt. Kramer pops it through, runs into his own man, and down he goes at the 18-yard line. Andre Kramer with exceptional speed. He's a freshman from Baltimore, Maryland for Tennessee. A 57-yard punt by Ricky Anderson, who's adding to his nation-leading total in punting the ball. This is Turner Network Television. 21-3. What a topsy-turvy season it's been. Navy beating South Carolina, Army now beating Navy. Middle Tennessee State was out to a 21-0 lead. Indiana State closing in 1AA quarterfinal action. That's being played in Terre Haute. And here, Tennessee laying an old-fashioned woodshedding on Vanderbilt. 26-0. Out of bounds at the 27 goes Tim McGee. Close to the first down, a yard or two short, probably. That's his 7th catch of the afternoon. He's over 100 yards. He has 2 touchdowns, 117 yards receiving, and McGee is having himself a career here this afternoon.
When you employ that short hitch pattern is against a zone defense or against man-to-man coverage, when the cornerback has too much depth, leaves too much room.
On a 2nd down and 1. I think they're going to be short of the first down. Johnny Jones couldn't get it outside that time. He is stopped short of the first down. Over there to cover Tim Johnson, number 17, the sophomore from Fayetteville, Tennessee. Let's watch Steve McCoy, the middle linebacker for Vanderbilt.
I don't think you can ask any more of a player that McCoy has produced today. He was excellent against Kentucky, and watching films against Virginia Tech there also. You see he's teaming with Johnson and Jeff Cartwright. He has been around the football in the second half.
So it's going to be 3rd down and a long one for Tennessee. They're in that power I formation. There's Johnny Jones, who bangs it out there for the first down. Depending again on the spot, I have to hesitate just a moment. It could be close. But Johnny Jones having himself an excellent afternoon. 102 yards on the day, and he has now clinched the Southeastern Conference rushing title. Dalton Hilliard led with 1,268 yards on the year coming into today's game. Johnny Jones had 1,171. So now he has 1,273 and has clinched the SEC rushing title, which is in itself quite an accomplishment when you think about the players. You see the first down, like George Adams of Kentucky, Hilliard, Neil Anderson at Florida, Caruth at Alabama, who, by the way, is leading the Alabama game today, as Alabama is ahead of Auburn.
And Georgia Tech is ahead of Georgia. Oh, boy.
Tennessee came into this game a 2-point favorite. It was considered to be a very close game. Tennessee leads 26-0 with 3:11 to go in the 3rd quarter. Double tight ends in for the Volunteers.
Reverse.
Everybody's there for Vanderbilt, though. They didn't get by with it that time. Down at the 23-yard line. Carl Jordan, the man who played it so well. Tim McGee was the ball carrier, and he went down at the 23-yard line. Good play by Vanderbilt.
And a good call by Tennessee. You know, at this time of the game, a defense starts to get a little bit desperate, and they sometimes forget their responsibilities and just start pursuing to the ball. Jordan did an excellent job. Glenn Watson stayed at home. We saw him burned on a reverse against Georgia. He learned his lesson.
Jordan was being knocked out of the play and still tripped up Timmy McGee. What a player, Carl Jordan. 2nd down 15, Tennessee from the 23. There's that audible at the line of scrimmage by Tony Robinson. Johnny Jones looking for that seam. Gets it out to about the 32 or 33. Tennessee has to come out here to the 38.5-yard line for the first down. 2:12, 2:11 to go in the 3rd quarter from Nashville, Tennessee, on the campus of Vanderbilt. Couldn't ask for a nicer day for football. Wind is almost calm. Temperature right around 50 degrees. And the sunshine on the field there, it's probably 60 degrees easy. It's a very pleasant, warm afternoon.
5 defensive backs in the game for Vanderbilt, Bob.
And Tennessee in their passing alignment. With the split backs, they normally just flare out as flare controlled and also as blockers here for Tony Robinson, who's making up plays as he goes. This is what Majors likes about him so much. He, however, sees such a complexity on the part of Vanderbilt's defense that Robinson said, hold it, maybe even I can't check it out this time. What were their coaches telling us how many times this guy checks off?
Sometimes 60% of the time. But what happened there, I think, is that Vanderbilt was confused. And Tony Robinson was looking at something that he had never seen before because they weren't lined up correctly. So he said, hey, let's see let me talk this over with Walt.
Tony's a victim of over-preparation. He said, Coach, I don't know what they were doing. I'm sure that's what his coach is telling him right now. Well, no, Vanderbilt getting it together down on the sideline right now as McIntyre leans in to check it out. Vanderbilt came into this game 5-5. Tennessee 6-3-1.
Tony Robinson has really, I think, showed a lot of determination. Had to be very patient. He would play spring football. Alan Cockrell would play baseball in the spring. Then come the fall, Cockrell would be the starting quarterback. That happened twice. Now he's got his chance. And I know that Majors painfully talks about failing to redshirt this lad, huh?
He'll have him back for one more, but he could easily have had him back for 2 more years. Well, he said there are the third down conversion stats. As Johnny Majors said, he said he was the backup guy, and Robinson kept thinking, maybe I'll play, because Cockrell did have injury problems his whole year, and it was one of those gambles. And he's not in bad shape. This is his junior year, so Robinson will be back. Just pops this one down the sideline. It's caught and out of bounds. At the 36-yard line goes Tim McGee. Willis Perry covering the nickel back, and as you see, that fine feathery touch. 2 classy performances here. One on the toss, one on the reception by McGee.
They're lined up in an all-out blitz, so there's 2 patterns a defensive back has to be concerned about. One is the fade right here. The other is the quick slant. That time McGee had a step on Perry, and the ball was right on the money.
32-yard gain on the play. Tennessee leading 26-0, threatening again. 1:28 to go, third quarter. Robinson rolling out of that pocket. Good play by Wyndham, but Robinson throws on the move. It's picked off by 32, Manuel Young. Down to the 22-yard line. Very big play by Young. And Vanderbilt dodges the bullet.
This is the same pattern that Tennessee has run all day long. They've run it from different formations. Fake to the left, bootleg right. Clink scales went down. That's who Robinson was looking for. As he scanned the field, he saw Eicholz coming back. Manuel Young read his eyes and reacted to the football like a great player will do.
Commodores first down 10 from the 22-yard line now, trailing 26-0. Kurt Page continues at quarterback. He came in the last series. Here's Carl Woods. He runs it out there for a few yards out to the 28-yard line. Zander with the tackle for Tennessee. 1 minute remaining in the third quarter, so there's plenty of time in this football game. If Kurt Page can get it going, you see him clapping the hands, Tim. That's what you were talking about.
Right. They need somebody to turn that crank, kick him in the head a little bit. You know, they're in a fight. You know, what we've seen Vanderbilt do, what we saw them do against Georgia, they can score in a hurry, so they know it's not over yet.
Only a 3-man rush by Tennessee. It is complete for the first down to the 35-yard line to tight end Jim Pop. And for Jim Pop, that is his first reception of the afternoon. And Pop and Scott and Kelly and Edwards are all top receivers. Look at Tony Robinson.
Did you finish your homework yet? No, I didn't finish it.
That's he's talking to Mom, huh?
Yeah.
But Mom, I promise right after the game to get back to it. Give me a break. Eh? First down, Vanderbilt. From the 35 of the Commodores. Only 20 seconds remaining in this quarter. Probably the last play of this quarter. It is incomplete. The official started to signal complete, then signaled incomplete. It was caught by Joe Kelly out here at the 45, ruled incomplete. And there will be one more play of this half at 17 seconds, of this quarter, 17 seconds remaining. Butch Bullen comes into the game, and Jim Pop, the tight end, comes out.
Terry Brown is in for Tennessee. Starter last year. This year is injured, playing at 5th defensive back.
From the 35, second down 10. Page steps up, has his receiver open. First down inside Tennessee territory to the 43 goes Chuck Scott. Carl Zander with the tackle. And under Payne, we don't want to just beat on it, but remember, Kurt Page has a separated right shoulder. Put some zip on the ball to Scott, 46.
See Kelly and Scott working down the field together, both coming to the inside. Scott hooking up, Kelly angling in a little bit deeper. Page finds Scott. puts the ball in his chest.
And the clock ticks down to double zeros, and that's the end of the third quarter. Tennessee leading 26-0, but Vanderbilt showing some offensive movement for the first time since the first part of the first quarter. So Kurt Page seems to have breathed a little life into Vanderbilt. We'll see what happens in the fourth quarter. This is Turner Network Television. Whoa!
Yeah, there's no room for that.
Ready to begin the fourth quarter. Vanderbilt Commodores trailing Tennessee 26-0, but Kurt Page has the Commodores on the march. First down 10 from the 44 of Tennessee. With Everett Crawford. He's got the good speed, but he falls down right as he gets out close to the first down at the 33-yard line. Crawford came in earlier in place of Carl Woods and fumbled. Let's look at some scores from around the nation this afternoon. It is Alabama in front of Auburn by 10. That's a third quarter. Kiffin kicked a 52-yard field goal. Georgia Tech also leading Georgia in the second quarter. And Butler had a 38-yard field goal to score there one of the points, 3 of the points for Georgia. It is first down 10 Vanderbilt, 33 of Tennessee. Page completes it to Edwards. Edwards drives to the 24-yard line. Good second effort. He's only about a yard away from the first down. Carl Sanders with the tackle. And Kurt Page has come in here as 4 out of 6 passing the football for 42 yards. And this Vanderbilt offense is starting to look like the Vanderbilt offense now.
Tennessee is being very patient on defense. Vanderbilt's got the type of offenses that they like you to blitz. They like to know when you're coming. They handled so many blitzes they can protect, and Page can deliver the ball. They're just hoping that down the field, somewhere in the process, Vanderbilt will make an error that will cost them.
Jim Kopp, the tight end, goes in motion. Here's Everett Crawford. And Crawford gets down to the 14-yard line. Vanderbilt with their deepest penetration of the day.
21 seniors playing their last game for Vanderbilt. It's 26-0 in the fourth quarter. If nothing else, fine run by Everett Crawford. If nothing else, they want to leave their careers here with some pride, with some dignity. It's 26-0. They're not going to feel real good about this as they look back at it.
Kelly and Scott both split wide to the left side. A-back Keith Edwards also on the left side. Everett Crawford in the backfield on the first down 10 from the 14-yard line. Only a 3-man rush by Tennessee. Page tosses it over the middle. This is Kelly. Kelly is knocked down at the 10. He needed a block from Crawford, did not get it, and Kramer made the tackle.
So you see it from a linebacker view, starting to get a drop, kind of level off. You see Zander working on one of the receivers, and Kelly just runs what they call a check down pattern. He checks the blitz and then just slithers out over the middle, cut down by Andre Kramer.
Gain of 3, second down 7. The ball's at the 11-yard line of Tennessee. Again, 3 receivers over to the left side. Here's a handoff to Crawford. Not much running room, but he cuts back nicely to the 6-yard line. Vanderbilt needs to get just inside the 4 for a first down. Could get a first down inside the 4-yard line. It'll be third down as they move the stick up there. Third down and about 3.5 yards. Smokey urging on the volunteers there.
A run on second and long, a good call there. You know this is a 4-down territory. Maybe you could catch Tennessee sleeping and get that trap cooking up the middle.
Now receivers are spread left and right. 8. Incomplete. Wanted to get Joe Kelly. Good coverage by Andre Kramer. And it will be fourth down. Now, what is Tennessee going to do? They're going to go fourth down. They're trailing 26-0. We have 12:22 to go in the game. You've got to figure that Vanderbilt will go for the touchdown here.
I don't think there's any question about that.
Louis Stevenson, number 29, coming into the game. Stevenson's a senior. Back to Keith Edwards. Edwards comes out. Stevenson goes in.
It's unusual to see Keith Edwards come out in this situation, although Stevenson has 15 catches.
Fourth down. Page. Into the end zone. Has a man. Touchdown. Chuck Scott.
That's a great throw with a bad shoulder.
What a difference Kurt Page entry into the ball game has made.
Well, it's an emotional lift. Look how he looks to his right, sets it up, lets Scott work on Vic Pepper's on the outside and works his way open. But Vic, you're a freshman, don't feel too bad. Chuck Scott's done that to a lot of folks. 20 to be factual.
5 catches on the day for Chuck Scott. Point after is good. Tennessee 26, Vanderbilt 7 with 12 minutes, 20 seconds to go in the ball game. If Vanderbilt keeps this offense rolling, we could get ourselves a ball game before long. But first, they got to find a way to stop Robinson and company. This is Turner Network Television. So they're going to try an onside kick, and Tennessee's got those sure-handed backs and receivers up there on the front line of the kickoff return team. Let's see what Ricky Anderson does. He takes it deep. It's going to bounce in and out of the end zone, and Tennessee will bring it out to the 20-yard line, where it'll be first down 10. Not really anything coming out of that play. That was kind of a tweener. Vanderbilt needed to either try an onside or try to get that ball to bounce down somewhere in there.
Right there you see the scoring drive, 11 plays. And that was a patented Vanderbilt drive. Ball in the air, picking their way down the field. They're going to have to hit some big ones, though, to get back in the game here at this time.
And Tennessee isn't about to sit on the ball here. I have a feeling, well, you never sit on the ball if you have Johnny Jones in the backfield anyway. First down 10 from the 20. And it to the fullback, Howard. Big hole for him. Howard to the 40-yard line. 20 yards for the big fullback. Armando Fitz with a tackle, and Johnny Majors was telling Tim and I last night that this man, William Howard, is not only a good blocker, good pass receiver, but can pop it for some long gainers.
You see Upton and Harry Galbraith working with Raleigh McKenzie to create that hole for Howard, and then Howard just does the rest of the work by himself. Boom. That's Harry Galbraith, number 76, taking on McCoy, that creates the gap.
Howard weighs 220 pounds. Here's Robinson throwing on first down. It's complete for a first down. Tim McGee goes out of bounds right at the stick, right there, right at the midfield mark. And Tim McGee has now caught 9 passes for Tennessee with 2 touchdowns and 158 yards. What an afternoon Tim McGee is having. If I'm not mistaken, that's the best of his career. We'll double check it, but I believe he has never caught more than 8 passes prior to this game in a single game.
You can't prevent an outside receiver from catching those quick shots if you're out there by yourself. But when the ball is getting there, your head should be implanted in the receiver's back.
Robinson on a second down and just inches. He's going to take it upstairs. Looking way down there, overthrows everybody. Good coverage by Vanderbilt, very deep that time. And once again, who's always down there? Tim McGee, and somewhat surprisingly, the tight end Jeff Smith, who has pretty good deep speed. So it'll be third down. That was really a free down for Tennessee because it's third and inches at midfield.
You saw David Douglas there, number 78. He's been a walk-on at Tennessee. He earned a scholarship, and you always like to hear stories about folks like that, unheralded players that work their way onto a football team and then earn what they deserve.
First down, Tennessee, to about the 47-yard line. William Howard, the fullback. That's the first down for the Volunteers. And the clock keeps ticking. 11:50 remaining. They'll stop it just long enough to set the sticks, and then they'll start it again. And Tennessee leads by a score of 26-7. Robinson has completed 18 out of 27 for 232 yards and 2 touchdowns on the afternoon. He's run for about 11 yards. He fumbles the ball there. Falls on it himself at the 49. Trouble getting out from behind the center.
What an afternoon Robinson had against Georgia Tech, too. Bill Curry's Georgia Tech, 20 out of 26. A couple of scrambles for key first downs in that last drive. He's the only quarterback in the SEC that has completed over 60% of his passes.
And interestingly enough, you know who holds the Tennessee record for pass completion percentage? Johnny Majors at 61%. Robinson has 61.3. Majors coaching his way into watching his records fall. Here's Robinson on the option, turning it upfield. Doesn't get the first down, but he gets a substantial portion of it. Goes down to the 40. It's going to be third and about 3 yards now for the Volunteers. They need to keep this drive going to maintain possession because Kurt Page and the Commodores seem to be hot offensively on that last drive. They spot it back a little further. It'll be third down and longer than 3, close to 5 yards.
Vandy has got its blitz defense in there. They've got 5 defensive backs in there. Now Manuel Young is lined up deep. Let's see if he sneaks his way up. Here he comes.
to Wilson. He doesn't get the first down. Steve McCoy with the tackle, his 10th of the afternoon. McCoy was playing head up on the center that time in that 4-3 defensive alignment. And it is short of the first down. And let's see if Tennessee elects to punt. It's about a yard short. You would think they would. Johnny Majors in Tennessee has a tradition of playing this field position game, and they have, of course, a great punter in Colquitt, who is not going to punt again. In once again comes Bob Garman, who is the freshman punter, who will be replacing Jimmy Colquitt, and I guess they just want to take a good look at him here. He's also punts that ball as in a pooch punt style, trying to drop it inside the 10-yard line.
Who is the pooch punt named after?
John Pooch, who was a man who played football for John Heisman at Georgia Tech in 1896.
I didn't think you'd know that.
Delay a game on offense.
I think they're throwing that flag on us. What do you think?
A flag for a very weak attempt at covering an answer to a weak question. The first time I heard the term, though, was from John James, the fine punter from Florida and the Atlanta Falcons.
It just doesn't sound like football, though, you know, pooch.
A shot put, maybe.
Not a bad offensive term, I guess.
Well, I'm going to continue to call it that. Here's Garman. John Heisman would have wanted it that way. Garman gets off a much better punt this time. Manuel Young fakes the punt, but Garman stops it. Oh, it looked like a 9-iron shot. Down at the 8-yard line, and Vanderbilt's got a long way to go. Jesse Messimer fell on the ball for Tennessee. Good coverage, and the Vanderbilt Commodores will have to look at a further than 90-yard drive when we return to play in relief of Mark Ratcher. Page with the sore shoulder, but played well in the last drive. It's a little tougher down here in this territory. Let's see what Kirk comes up with. Over the middle. Almost picked off. It was intended for tight end Jim Pop, who literally did just pop the ball into the air, almost giving Tennessee an opportunity for the interception. Joe Cofer covering on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 10 for Vanderbilt from their own 8-yard line, trailing 26-7. 8:58 to go in the game. So as Tim mentioned on that last series, Vanderbilt's going to have to eat up some yardage in chunks here. Hope they can get a quick 7 up on the board. Here's Carl Woods running hard out to the 15-yard line. And down he goes there. So it'll bring up a 3rd down situation for the Commodores.
In that last possession by Tennessee, Tony Robinson has surpassed Jimmy Streeter. Total offense for a Tennessee record. And another record falls for the Tennessee Volunteers.
Johnny Jones and Tony Robinson. What a combination. Tony Robinson, of course, a junior. Johnny Jones will go on to pro football. 3rd down 4. Page avoids the attempted sack. Penalty marker down. Pass interference is going to be called on Tennessee. And I think it was Zander covering Carl Woods out there wide. If that's the case, if it is pass interference, it will be 1st down for Vanderbilt. Let's see the call. Committee meeting down there to decide. Man in the white hat, Jimmy Harper, the referee. Let's go! We have 8:14 to go in this game, and Tennessee leads 26-7. Pass interference, Tennessee. Now that's 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. And the 1st down, it comes out here to the 30-yard line. Last year it was a spot of the foul penalty, but now it's from the line of scrimmage.
Defensive pass interference, 15 yards and a 1st down.
Some scores from college football this afternoon. Georgia Tech way out in front of Georgia, 21-6. That's a 2nd quarter score. I guess it would be a 2nd quarter score. That game started 1:30 Eastern time. Keith Edwards just dropped the ball on a swing pass to the right side. Georgia game, by the way, it is 2nd quarter, but only 10 seconds left in the 1st half, we understand. And Keith Edwards, along with some other Vanderbilt receivers, just haven't been able to hold on to the ball in golden opportunities this afternoon as Boston College headed to the Cotton Bowl, way out in front of Holy Cross, and almost certainly later today, Doug Flutie will be named the Heisman Trophy winner. And Indiana State has come back from a 21-0 deficit in that 1AA quarterfinal to Terre Haute, tying Middle Tennessee State. Second down, 10, Vanderbilt. Page. Chuck Scott was over the middle. Page simply didn't hit him. Charles Benton covering on the play. It'll be third down, 10. That youngster, we don't know the amount of pain he's playing in right now, but Tim Foley, and from the look on his face, you can tell he's having it. And Tim, you've had that injury. Right. You know how it is.
And he couldn't, if it wasn't game day, he couldn't be throwing the ball like this. You get that adrenaline running through your body, and sometimes it cancels out part of the pain, but you can be assured that he is hurting.
Third down, 10. Some time. It is complete to Chuck Scott. Big conversion play. The 45-yard line of Tennessee. The clock ticking down rapidly, though. 7:53 to go in the game.
This is where he is so good. They say he can beat this man under too deep every time. The defensive back is supposed to be sitting on the inside. Chuck Scott beats him anyway, and he's done it throughout his 4-year career here. Look at that. Quickness, acceleration off the break. Good catch.
First down, Vanderbilt. The 46 of Tennessee. Page just sitting back there tossing it. It's complete again to Jim Pop, the tight end, close to the first down as he struggles to get to the 34-yard line for the first down. Zander with the tackle. It may be short of the first down, but Vanderbilt on the march again, trailing 26-7.
I talked to Ron Zook last night. He's the defensive backfield coach for Tennessee. He took over that responsibility for George Katavlis, who went to the Indianapolis Colts, and he's really proud of the way his freshmen have responded in there.
Second down, 10. Here's Carl Woods. He got a big block there. Cut it back inside for the first down, inside the 24. They'll spot it just inside the 24-yard line. Vanderbilt first down. Keith Edwards, the man who is an excellent blocker. They never talk about his blocking, but watch him on number 51, McKenzie.
Right on the left of his screen. He comes down and bang, takes on McKenzie. Lynn Amity said he's the most unselfish player he's ever been around. He'll do whatever you ask him to do, Keith Edwards.
First down, Vanderbilt at the 23.5 of Tennessee. It's Chuck Scott in motion. Only a 3-man rush by the Volunteers. Page is just going to run it right down the middle. And he gets out of bounds at the 7.5-yard line. Kurt Page, oh, what a story he's been today. Coming in late in the third quarter with about 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Took Vanderbilt on a scoring drive, and here gets a critical first down.
You know, his mind had to be talking to him here, Bob. And it's saying, I know I shouldn't do this. But there he goes. He tucks the ball away, and not only does he not slide, he starts putting on moves. Now, this isn't real and a smart thing to do for a quarterback, but it certainly is courageous. And those people started waving those gold banners again. They've been sitting on them for about 3 quarters.
29 Stevenson, number 1 Crawford in the backfield for Vanderbilt now. First and goal at the 8 of Tennessee. Page has time. Touchdown to Joe Kelly. You spell Page, P-O-I-S-E. Watch Joe Phillips on this.
Bullen coming across the inside. Look at Kelly. Worked him back to the outside a little bit. He beat Charlie Davis to the inside. He gave him a little move to the outside. Davis thought he was going to a corner. And then he bolted in across the middle, and Page put it right on the money. They're going for 2.
It's Tennessee 26, Vanderbilt 13. Vanderbilt lining up with everybody over here to the right side. Incomplete, intended for Chuck Scott, who wanted a pass interference call. He got none. Victor Peppers covering on the play. The score remains Tennessee 26, Vanderbilt 13. This is Turner Network Television. Watch Joe Kelly here on this different angle. He's a senior from Orange, California. From Page.
Slips in there past Charlie Davis. A nice pickup of Cooper by Jim Drawley. And you really we ought to mention Jim Drawley. He's been in the hospital. He's been sick for the last month.
There's the onside attempt. It bounces up. Let's see who has it. I believe it's Tennessee ball at the 48. Oh, my, that's close. Number 87, Clinkscales, came down with it. It took that high hop. That's exactly what you want on the play. But Clinkscales came up with a very big play for the Volunteers. Watch number 87.
This is a perfect kick. Nobody really likes being on this team if you're receiving an onside kick, because you can't really do anything right. You can only make an error. But great play by Clinkscale. Goes up after the ball.
Tennessee 26, Vanderbilt 13, 6:23 remaining in the game. Tennessee needs first downs here. They get about 2 yards up the middle that time. William Howard, the fullback. McCoy with his 11th tackle of the afternoon. That's 11 initial hits. That doesn't even count the tackles he's been in on.
Right, and a lot of those initial hits have been solo shots, just like that. That's just a perfect setup, working from a low plane to a high plane. Pow.
And that's number 36, Glenn Watson, who's down for Vanderbilt. He has been injured previously this year. And Glenn Watson was coming back from injury to play in this game. He came back about 3 weeks ago. Vanderbilt trainers and doctors checking him out right now. Freshman Richard Stahl will come into the game if Watson has to go out. And the Hall of Fame Bowls, December 29th, here on most of these TNT stations. Kentucky versus Wisconsin. Both of them very excellent team. Wisconsin has beaten several of the teams that are in bowls around the country, as has Kentucky. Kentucky defeated this fine Tennessee team just last week. That'll be the 29th of December, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Bob Neal, Tim Foley will be there with you, along with our TBS sports crew, bringing you that game from Birmingham. I'll tell you what the folks in Birmingham know how to do, and that's they know how to put on a football game.
They certainly do, and just all the ceremony and pageantry that surrounds that is fun. People have a great time at that game. Remember last year we had a luncheon with Jerry Clower.
He's a big fan of TBS Sports. He watches a lot of our games. There's Glenn Watson being aided up. As you can see, Glenn took a pretty hard shot to the left side of his face. Having a little problem getting off the field there. We hope that young man will be okay. He's a courageous player, as he's played hurt all year long and came back from a mid-season injury. We're going to pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
This is Superstation WTBS, Atlanta, from Turner Broadcasting System.
Freshman Richard Stahl replaces Glenn Watson at the defensive end position. As you can see, it was all Tennessee in the second and third quarter. Neither team could get on the board in the first. And in the fourth quarter, it's been all Vanderbilt. But now, Tennessee has the ball, second down 9, right at midfield, with 6:11 remaining in the football game. There's Coach Tony Robinson taking a long time in the huddle, probably drawing something on the turf. Everybody get open.
He usually doesn't take long in the huddle because he takes a long time at the line of scrimmage.
They handle the fullback again, only about 3 yards to the 47-yard line goes William Howard. Now we have the third down situation here, as that clock ticks rapidly from a Vanderbilt Commodore point of view. 5:34. The score is 26-13 Tennessee.
5 defensive backs in the game for Vanderbilt. Look for them to pressure them. It seems as though they've had the most success when they tried to apply pressure. Let's see what happens.
This is a very big ball game play for Vanderbilt. Third down 7 for Tennessee. There's that checkoff. Here come the Commodores. Here's the pressure.
Here's the fade.
It's complete again. All you got to do is toss it up, and Timmy McGee will run under it. First down Tennessee at the 16-yard line. Those Vanderbilt cornerbacks have had nightmares in this game from that man, Timmy McGee.
Kurt Van Valkenburg is on the sideline hanging his head. He just outruns Kermit Sykes. There's nothing Kermit can do about that. McGee is faster. After he held off the inside release, he was already a half step behind, and McGee just increased the space between the two of them, and Robinson threw it beautifully out over the outside shoulder where the ball belongs.
Tim, you could almost see that coming. Tennessee runs it up the middle 2 times, tosses the fade to McGee. They've done it so well all afternoon. First down at the 16-yard line of Vanderbilt. Here's Johnny Jones. Can he get outside? The answer is yes, but there is Manuel Young. Back at the 17, loss of maybe 5 on the play. Manuel Young playing his final game in a Vanderbilt uniform.
And that's what you like. That's what you like to see. Watch Manuel Young after this play. He's supposed to be here to fill the alley. He hustles from his free safety position. Johnson does a nice job of forcing it to the outside. Cartwright gets cut down, but then Manuel Young is there. And then he helped Johnny Jones up off the ground instead of telling him how bad he was and standing over him and talking to him. Way to go, Manuel. You're a good guy.
Second down 10 from the 16-yard line. No gain at all on that play. 4:19 to go in the game. Volunteers have done exactly what they needed to do, and that's maintain control of the ball. Robinson. Incomplete. He was looking for Timmy McGee. McGee, by the way, has 10 catches in this game today, 2 touchdowns, and that's the best performance he's ever had as a Tennessee Volunteer. He now has 54 catches on the year, which will put him up there among the nation's leaders.
And it broke the Tennessee record. So way to go, Tim. You hold another record. He's got another year to go. Going to give a lot of defensive coordinators some headaches.
Now a 3rd down and 10 from the 16 for Tennessee. Remember, they lead here by 13 points. So a field goal could certainly help them too. Here's Johnny Jones. He has running room. Short of the first down is Johnny Jones, and Fuad Reveiz will come in for what for him should be a chip shot field goal. They spot the ball at the 12. It'll be about a 29-yard field goal attempt by Fuad Reveiz. He has a 37-yarder in this game previously.
You know, Vanderbilt started out the year 4-0, correct? And then the injuries started catching up with them, and they just don't have a lot of depth. Some of these bigger teams like Auburn can afford to lose a Bo Jackson and come with a fellow like Brent Fullwood. Vanderbilt just doesn't have the depth. But Tennessee certainly, they got hit earlier with injuries and did a fine job of rebuilding.
Tennessee has called timeout. The clock down to 3:25 of the game. Reveiz in for the field goal attempt. And Reveiz and a lot of great kickers are ending the season. Steve McCoy, what a day he's had today. But some great kickers who are ending their careers today. Jimmy Colquitt and Reveiz from Tennessee. Ricky Anderson here at Vanderbilt. Bobby Raymond at Florida will be playing his last game against Florida State this afternoon. And Kevin Butler at the University of Georgia. And some just great kickers this year. Maybe the best year ever for quality, broad-based. And look at that. Alabama now 17-15. And Brent Fullwood, who Tim was talking about just moments ago, just ran a 60-yard touchdown for Auburn, and they went for the 2 points, and Bo Jackson took it in to make it 17-15. And there's 9 minutes left in that game. And Middle Tennessee State and Indiana State tied 21. That's in overtime, a 1AA quarterfinal game. And here, Tennessee 26, Vanderbilt 13, and Tennessee about to go for a Fuad Reveiz field goal attempt. Sometimes when you see a timeout like that, they may be setting it up for some kind of fake, although I doubt it. This is Jack Sells holding, number 15. Reveiz hits it. It is Tennessee 29, Vanderbilt 13 with 3:20 to go in the game. A 29-yard field goal by Fuad Reveiz. Now we're going to pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves. Tennessee set to kick off to Vanderbilt, leading 29-13 with 3:20 to go in the game. Crawford and Weatherspoon are deep for the Commodores. Line drive. Here comes Weatherspoon. Tennessee with excellent coverage. Weatherspoon out to the 17-yard line. I'd like to thank the sports information directors for both universities, Lou Harris and Tony Neely at Vanderbilt, Haywood Harris and Bud Ford at the University of Tennessee. They've done an excellent job along with the coaches in helping us prepare for our telecast today. Scoring drive on the Volunteers, 39 yards, 7 plays. After the reason only 39 yards, of course, is Vanderbilt tried the onside kick, and Joey Clinkscales came up with a good play for the Volunteers on the kickoff return team. Vanderbilt 1st and 10 from their own 17, trailing by 16 points with 3:12 to go in the game. Page completes it to Chuck Scott up to the 31st down. Benton with the tackle.
You know, it's just amazing, and I know it's frustrating for the defensive coaches. You know Scott's going to run that pattern. You've got a guy on him, man-to-man underneath, and you've told him, don't let him inside. And he goes in there and catches the ball consistently.
Here's Page again under pressure. Breaks through. Out of bounds he goes, directing traffic. Kurt Page getting out of bounds. And, of course, you know, the coaches for Vanderbilt and their fans are saying, what if Kurt had been able to play all day? Well, he wasn't. What could have happened. Mark Ratcher came in and did not play badly. Mark Ratcher, the team did not respond well. They dropped a lot of passes, and we're not really laying blame on Mark Ratcher, but the team did not perform well when he was at quarterback.
Right, you know you don't have your lead dog going in there. Sometimes it can affect you in a negative way emotionally. You feel like you don't have as good an opportunity to win.
Second down, 7 at the 35. Page looking for that opportunity. It is complete to Everett Crawford. He's having hand problems today. A fumble earlier today and couldn't hold on to that one. He's just a freshman, though, from Huntsville, Alabama.
A lot of freshmen playing this year that we've seen throughout the league. I know at one time Mississippi last week had an all-freshman backfield. A couple of true freshmen playing cornerback for Larry Marmee's Tennessee defense.
And Tennessee today had Charles Wilson and William Howard in there a lot with a freshman backfield. Ratcher's in while Page gets his pads repaired on 3rd down 7. Ratcher just hands it off to Everett Crawford, who runs for the first down to the 47-yard line. One of those little shuttle passes. And Crawford gets it out here to the 47. Carl Woods goes back in. Crawford will come out, and they're still working on Page down on the sideline. Ratcher stays in there.
The purpose of that play is once the quarterback clears the up back, the linebackers then get back to their zones. And so it's kind of like a little forward toss draw.
I like that. Forward toss draw. Here's Ratcher. He's on the money this time. And that's a first down completion to the 37-yard line. Butch Bullen, the receiver. Vanderbilt in their 2-minute drill as we have 2:26 remaining in the game. Clock stops while they set the chain. I might mention that Tennessee playing a prevent defense here, trying not to give up the big one and letting Vanderbilt complete even first down plays to chew up time on the clock. Ratcher. 3-man rush for the Volunteers. It's complete, but Bullen pays for it about 5 yards over the middle. Clutch catch there. Joe Kofer making the hit. Kofer, the linebacker, former safety. The clock ticks down to 2:11. And Vanderbilt set at the line of scrimmage once again. Chuck Scott's out of there right now. Here's that handoff forward again. This is Carl Woods. Woods down to the 17-yard line. Clock down to 1:57. First down. Clock stops again.
This is a particularly effective play against a 3-man rush. The linemen are upfield. Just pop the ball to the back, and now the first man that can make contact is a linebacker who has enough vision to get back into it.
Interestingly, when you look at the scoring by quarters, Vanderbilt has been outscored by opponents in the first, second, and third quarter all year. But in the fourth quarter, total scoring, Vanderbilt 93, opponents 37. Now that's because Vanderbilt's been behind, and with a passing-oriented team, the other team lays back a little bit, and Vanderbilt's been able to score. But look at the fourth quarter statistics there. 93-37 Vanderbilt, and that's going to be the case here today. If they go ahead and score a touchdown here, it'll be 19-3. They will have outscored Tennessee, but they'll still be on the wrong end of the score. It's 29-13 now with only 1:57 remaining. Ratcher comes out, and Kurt Page goes back in the ball game. On most of these stations following this game, we'll have highlights from all of those traditional rivalries being played all over the country today on the Football Action Report with Craig Sager and Paul Horning. And what a great job they have done with our SEC telecast this year back in the studios in Atlanta.
I think Horning's starting to look a lot younger than he did at the beginning of the season. Hanging around with Sager, I think, is helping.
Kurt is back in.
Sager will only age you. Here's Page going to the end zone. However, Chuck Scott was covered so completely by Vince Clark that Page simply threw it away. Speaking of people who have done a great job with telecasting football, I don't know if we can mention all of them, but I'm going to try to mention as many as I can of our crew. Some just great help this year. Our producer Skip Ellis and director Tom Smith, and their associates Rod Triplett and Gary Lehman, unit manager Teresa Bush, and also Ann Keith, who's been with us on many of the trips. Engineer in charge Robert Broussard, Rick Rayford, our TD. Grover Huckabee, the maintenance man, Paula Edge, our font coordinator. Paula, by the way, has done just a great job getting the information up on the graphics display for us this year. Incomplete again goes Kurt Page. Butch Bullen was his intended receiver. Clock down to 1:47. It'll be 3rd down and 10. Kim Anderson, our player identification expert, or spotter as we like to call him. Our Chiron operator Charlotte Griffith, Josh Marks, Ron Sutton, Tony Ammon, Steve Shepard, Wayne Womack, Damon Freeman working today's game on camera. Bill Thomas in tape along with Bob Britton is working there for us today, and Galen Holloway. Senior video is Mike Ross, Bob McGee, and Stephanie Bradley on the audio. On the third down, Page shuttles forward again. Penalty marker goes down, and so does the ball carrier. Richard Croker and Nicky Nichols have worked with us as booth managers all year long. Ralph Freeman, our utility expert. Stats, David Carroll, who's doing another good job today. And Moby driver, Steve Dyer. I'll talk about some of the other folks as we go along here who've done such a good job of helping us with our TNT Sports telecast all year long. Hope you've enjoyed Southeastern Conference football. Here's the game situation as you've been able to watch. It's 4th and 10 for Vanderbilt at the 18-yard line of Tennessee. So it's really all down to this for Vanderbilt. Pop coming out of the lineup. While we have a moment before they snap the ball, some of the other crew members who've been with us at various times this year is engineer Joe Wheeler, Jim Reeves, Homer Aycock, Fran Lopez, Bob Protzman. Here goes the 4th down play. Kurt Page having trouble finding somebody. Throws it into the end zone. There's Edwards. Incomplete. And Vanderbilt's season will go down with that incompletion. With a minute and 15 remaining in this game. The Vanderbilt Commodores come up short. Tennessee gets the big bragging rights for 1985 with this victory over Vanderbilt today. And Tennessee heading on a high note to the Sun Bowl in El Paso versus Maryland. So now Tennessee gets the ball. Vanderbilt has 3 timeouts. Tennessee none, according to the scoreboard.
I remember Robinson calling a couple of timeouts. The scoreboard's probably correct.
But Tennessee, of course, doesn't want to use a timeout anyway. Vanderbilt may elect to use 1 or 2, depending on whether they can stop Tennessee on this drive to simply attempt in a battle for pride to score some more points. Let's see. Johnny Jones hit behind the line of scrimmage. No gain. Steve McCoy, the man there once again. I want to just mention a few more of our fine crew people from TBS Sports. Lee Cobb, Mark Johnson, Terry Posmer, who've helped us this year. Marty Beeson, Mike Filosa, Jeff Hall, Ben Buchen, cameraman, along with Rafi Ortiz Guzman, Don Bohannon, Brian Smythe, Kevin Powley, Hal Kicklighter, Frank Wimberly, Wayne Barry, Pete McIntyre. A lot of folks who work very hard to bring these telecasts to you. Laura Goldsmith, Jan King with the graphics, Scott Marks, Susan Peoples, George Gerbel, Bill Lance. And we'd just like to tip our hats to all of them. Of course, our executive producer of TBS Sports is Don Ellis, and the man who does so much of the negotiating and office meetings that aren't much fun but are critical in our being able to bring you the telecast, the president of WTBS and executive vice president of Turner Broadcasting, Bob Wessler. I guess I may as well thank Ted, who's had a small part.
I think you've worked your way up the scale effectively there, Robert.
And also playing a considerable role in this, Ted Turner. 1:07 to go in the game. Tennessee just running out the clock out to the 21-yard line. Vanderbilt with 2 timeouts left. They'll take another one. The clock will probably stop. I thought it does stop at 54. No, it's continuing to run. Now Vanderbilt says stop the clock at 53 seconds remaining in the game. So we will have one more telecast for you with our crew as we'll have the Hall of Fame Bowl on December 29th with Kentucky and Wisconsin.
Johnny Majors there talking to Doug Matthews. They have to feel real good about the performance and the progress their team has made throughout the season. From a dismal start, after we saw them against Auburn, I thought they'd be lucky to win one more game, and then they fought back hard against Florida. They fumbled on the 3-yard line going in for a score that would have made it 23-23 versus a fine Florida team, and then from there it was all uphill. They really came together, and as John would say, closed ranks. George McIntyre watching from the other sideline. I'm sure we'll meet with the Missouri people sometime later this week, and fine football coach, and his record here certainly is not a testimony to his ability. It's a testimony to some special situations here at Vanderbilt.
Here's Tony Robinson going to run for the first down, and that's just what he's done all year long so very effectively. McCoy will get credit for the tackle. Vanderbilt will call timeout again, but thanks to the first down for Tennessee, it will be too little too late. Vanderbilt was shut out going into the fourth quarter and trailed 26-0. They've scored 13 points here in the quarter, tried to go for 2 after scoring the last touchdown. But then, thanks to very poor field position, Tennessee just kept hammering Vanderbilt back there, and Vanderbilt just couldn't quite get it down to close this game up. Most of the crowd filing out of Dudley Field here. One of the nicer facilities around the country is this Vanderbilt Stadium, recently renovated. It is a beautiful place, but small. 41,000 it seats. And today, every single seat was packed. They are now filing out. When you see this stadium from a view on the Vanderbilt campus, it looks a little bit like a gray battleship. It is painted gray, a lot of metal in the structure. And a lovely campus here in Middle Tennessee.
Well, it's been an exciting year. We've seen some awfully good football games. We've gotten to know some fine coaches, and it's been a fun thing just to talk to these offensive and defensive coordinators and head coaches. I've been really impressed with the quality of people that are sports information directors here in the SEC. Really, really proud folks that do their job well. And again, it's been fun working with you, Bob. You know, we have a fine time here, and it's always enjoyable.
Well, that goes likewise. I might say it's been a real lot of fun for me today. It's that my son Rob is a sophomore at Vanderbilt. I hope that hasn't been denoted in my leaning one way or the other today. I certainly haven't tried to, but Rob works in the sports information office here under Lou Harris and Tony Neely. It's been kind of fun having him around today. The crew had a bet on how many times I'd mentioned my son's name today. Everybody lost just one time. And with the clock running to double zeros, Tennessee gets away with the victory today, 29-13, literally dominating this game, finishing the regular season 7-3-1, and Johnny Majors has another successful year over in Knoxville. He says hello to George McIntyre. George McIntyre congratulating Coach Majors with the victory, and Tennessee headed to the Sun Bowl with a 7-3-1 record. Vanderbilt ends the season with a 5-6 mark. Tennessee dominating this ball game virtually all day, with the exception of a couple of drives there by Kurt Page late in the football game. This is Turner Network Television.